And now a radio crime drama that ran on CBS from February 27th, 1949 to August 1st, 1954. Produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, the opening theme of I'll Take Manhattan introduced Detective Danny Clover, played by Larry Thor, a hardened New York cop who worked homicide from Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. We present to you Broadway's My Beat.
The FBI in Peace and War, ordinarily heard at this time throughout the year, is taking its usual summer vacation and will return to CBS 2 weeks from tonight on September 1st.
Broadway's My Beat. From Times Square to Columbus Circle. The gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
Broadway, where you can take a bus ride into the summer evening and make believe it's a dreamboat. Then, Broadway's as innocent and nostalgic as carousel music. But if you walk, you can get hit in the face by a guy fishing for nickels under a grating. Then you can't make believe anymore. But either way, it's Broadway. My Beat.
Danny! Danny, come in here.
The big voice that boomed through the afternoon heat belonged to Silks Bergen. Him the heat couldn't bop. There wasn't enough of it. Silks was a jockey, about 5 hands high, and with a wet saddle he might have scaled 110. He waved to me from the doorway of a haberdashery store.
In here, Danny, in the store.
Yeah, Silks, sure.
I've been waiting. I said I've been waiting for you to pass by, Danny.
What's the matter with your voice, Silks? You're down to a whisper.
Laryngitis had it for a week. Hey, Danny, I wanted you should meet a friend of mine, Joe Murdoch. Say some hello to Danny Clover, Joe.
Hello, Mr. Clover.
Joe?
Joe's 6'6" and speaks like a tenor. You should know about things like that, Danny. Is it possible? Joe, go buy me a shirt over there. I got to talk to Danny.
Sure, Silk. The lavender and the polka dot.
The dots, Joe, the dots. Can you hear me good, Danny? My voice has got so far to go from down here from me to up there to you.
I'll listen close. What's in your mind?
I want you to, I said, do me a favor, huh? About the key.
Why didn't I think of it myself, about the key? What key, Silks?
Well, I'm riding a race down to Maryland tomorrow. You see, I don't know how long I'll be gone. Now, you understand?
Oh, that key. What key, Silks?
The key for the locker at the LaGuardia plane terminal.
Oh, now I know. That key for that locker. Huh?
I got a parcel check there. I ain't got time to run down for it now.
It begins to dawn, Silks.
Yeah, sure. So if I ain't back tomorrow night, how about having one of your boys who's on duty down there pick it up, huh? Yeah. And you hold it for me.
Yeah.
That'll save me rental, and it'll make us even for them riding lessons I'll give you in General Prize.
Okay, Silks. Give her the key.
Thanks, Danny. Here. Now, don't lose it.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'll put it right here on my ring. By the way, what's in the parcel?
Just some of my riding silks, Danny. What else does a jockey own?
I patted Silks on the head, did him a fond yoiks, and mushed back into the tropical heat of Broadway. Tropical was an illusion that wasn't hard to believe. The crushed pineapple and papaya stands, the coconut milk in real whiskered coconuts, the sly, grinning beat of the native drums heard through wilting loudspeakers, and the girls, the luminous girls in their grass sandals in 14th Street sarong. And then one whose lips looked as if they'd been painted with wild strawberries stopped me and kept me from my appointed rounds. I didn't mind.
I'm so honest. I don't have the price of a dream, and I'm honest. Here, you dropped this.
What?
This $100 bill. You dropped it. Take it before it burns through my hand.
$100. Wasn't I the careless one? Must have been in that Cracker Jack box I just threw away.
Never throw anything away, Mr. Clover. There can be a prize in each and every package.
That's a hard thing to remember. Will you help me try to remember, Mr.
Ames. Bell Ames.
Oh.
you ever need any help, Mr. Clover? We're in for Belle Ames.
That's cute. Very cute. Now maybe I can do something for you, Belle. Maybe give you back all this money you said I dropped.
All right, so I lied. All you have to do is believe you dropped that money and listen. See how easy it is? $100 and no pain.
For 100, you can throw in a little pain. Who do I listen to?
It's written on the bill. Marty wants to see you.
Oh?
Marty says it's easier to talk to people who have money. He likes people with money. He says they listen better that way.
I'm a fool for psychology, Belle. Let's go listen to Marty.
Not me, Mr. Clover. You. It's you he wants to listen.
Hey, come back here. Belle, come back here. The heat melted her into the crowd and then into a can. And I was left standing there with the after scent of a perfume I'd never smelled before and a $100 bill I'd never held before. I inhaled both of them. They added up to the acrid odor of a bride. I had to find out why. 42nd Street, the address on the bill said. I decided to walk. Somewhere between Broadway and the number I was looking for, the honky-tonk started. And at the corner where women's high heels slack more slowly and the handouts become more frequent, I took a right turn into Limbo. 2 blocks down was what I was looking for. The Last Paddock Hotel, room 16.
Come in. Come right in.
Your name, Marty?
Yeah, that's my name, and these are my boys, Tinker and Dolly. Say a greeting to the police, boys.
Police? Gee.
Police? Golly day. Yeah, boys are from out-of-town police like me. The word don't impress us.
You gonna give me some more money, Marty?
Maybe. Maybe money, maybe trouble. Guy has a hard time figuring which is which these days.
What you trying to buy, Marty?
Talk. I'm buying words like I'm an editor.
Marty's a kick, ain't he, Tinker? He's a regular comedian.
Your floor show stinks.
Well, they ain't really working, police. So let's stop playing footsie, huh? We got business, me and you. About an hour ago, police, a little guy hailed you into a haberdashery shop. He's got a message for you. What kind of message did he have?
You should have heard. All you need, Marty, is a long, thin ear.
Hey, the police is a kick, too, Dolly. A jolly boy, real jolly.
What did Silksbergen tell you, police? Who? Now, look, I got time. Time, patience. Let's do it again. Silksbergen, what did he tell you?
You looking for a tip on the horses?
I got a tip. You're it. Only you look sad for a win. You look like hardly anything at all. Show him the gun, will you, Dolly?
Yeah. Look, Mr. Police, this is a gun.
Golly day.
Let me have it, Dolly.
Yeah. Here, Marty.
Now, what did Silksbergen tell you, police?
Marty, you go to movies to see how gunfolk act in this kind of situation?
Yeah, in a movie. Now, how did you know? Dolly.
Yeah?
Show the police the second reel.
Yeah, pleasure. A great big...
You know the language better than that, police. You might say something.
Your 2 muscles in your gun make me bashful.
Stage fright, huh? Dolly.
Yeah. Hey, Tinker, this is fun. You can play too, Tinker. Yeah, such a jolly guy. Playing movies with a jolly guy. A jolly guy.
Somewhere a light going on and off made a big noise and a bigger hurt just in back of my eyeballs. It screamed at me from across the street and through a window hung with grease-stained drapes. And I knew I was still in Marty's hotel room. I knew that hours had been torn out of my life and thrown away. Then the light screamed again, and this time there were words. Big 1,000-watt words that said, Pearl Club, delicious dancing girls. First one, then the other. And in between there was the creaking sound of a rocking chair. Then the rocking chair made words, too.
Don't hurry. It's rather pleasant here, sitting rocking in the dark, with that brazen sign throwing its naked, intermittent light. This gun gives me the right to introduce myself. I'm Gil Sherry.
Oh, should I know you?
Perhaps. I believe I'm in the class book of one of our more venerated colleges. That's my identity. A thesis on Gil Sherry would make lurid reading for the boys of the old school tie, don't you think?
I wouldn't know. Read me a chapter.
Oh, delighted. Chapter 1 begins. Early in life, I learned to love money. was a symbol of the sordid life into which I'd fallen. Now, sitting in the bleak, villainous hotel room, my comrade, a detective, and a corpse.
The corpse and the detective. Is that all me?
Not quite. You're the detective, true, and the corpse is the true corpse lying in the corner.
Huh?
And I believe he's a friend of yours, Mr. Clover.
Silks. Silks.
Rather fancifully named, don't you think? Silks Bergen. Proud, colorful name. But pride and color seem to have drained out of him.
Maybe he's ashamed of wearing bullet holes where his polka dots ought to be. He was a neat little guy.
So? And he'd be pleased with death. Death is so precise.
Closes your mouth, too. That wasn't smart of Marty.
Marty realizes that. That's why I'm to keep watch over you. Until you open yours and tell us what Silks had to tell you, huh? Oh, by the way, here are your meager belongings.
Yeah.
Your wallet, a key ring, your badge, and $100 bill. Marty's orders.
That's good of him.
All there?
Yeah. You said $100 like there were words that hurt you.
As I suggested, money is beautiful, Mr. Clover. Money buys money. Money is an ecstasy of an exquisite pain.
Oh. Gil, I dropped the bill. Huh? If you pick it up from me, I'll let you hold it for as long as you want it. Go on. Touch it, Gil. Feel it.
Oh, I'll get it.
Yeah, Gil. And get this! I'm not going to send my boys to college. Their noses break too easy. Took 15 minutes for the riot squad to clean up room 16. I booked Gil Sherry as an accomplice to murder, and the morgue booked Silks Bergen. The thing I had to do now was break a promise to a dead man. I couldn't wait until tomorrow to use Silk's key. The key that Marty didn't even notice. A half hour later, I was in the big waiting room at LaGuardia Field.
American Airlines DC-6 leaving at Gate 5 for Chicago and Los Angeles. Loading at Gate 4.
Hiya, Lieutenant Clover. What brings you down here? You an officer? Had any trouble? Locker thieves? No, only trouble was a 3-year-old kid in a $400 cowboy suit screaming because he lost his nurse and chauffeur at the same time. Where's locker 147? 147? Right over here, sir. Let's go. Now, let's try this key. Suitcase, Lieutenant. Yeah, pretty heavy. Something you're looking for? Hold on a second. As I get this open. Holy. All that dough. 10s and 50s and 100s. Yeah. What could be bought with that? It's been bought, officer. A lot of blood. Bought and paid for.
You are listening to Broadway's My Beat with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. Practically all of Casey, crime photographer's adventures are summed up in the title of tonight's show, Big Danger. If you haven't met this ace newspaper cameraman, his pretty assistant, and Ethelbert, the merry bartender, if you're looking for a top-rating thrill show, be sure to hear this latest of crime photographer's adventures. Along with Escape, which tonight will present Irvinette Cobb's Snake Doctor, crime photographer is heard on most of these same CBS stations. Now back to Broadway's My Beat.
Broadway is an animal that feeds on hot tips, a tip on a horse or a chopped liver sandwich. There are even touts who will hock you a scratch sheet giving odds on Broadway's being wiped off the face of the earth. And sometimes the tips pay off, like the one not to put your $2 on jockey Silks Bergen because Silks was dead and his handicap was a chest full of bullets. Or maybe his handicap was a heavy $100,000 left in a pasteboard suitcase in a public locker. It didn't make sense for Silks to have that kind of money. Even to sane, sensible, sensitive Sergeant Tartaglia, it didn't make sense.
It don't make sense, Danny. Silks with $100,000 left kicking around. That's not like him.
Yeah. Got a cigarette, Tartaglia? I put a carton in this desk drawer a week ago, and I haven't been able to open it since.
Oh, here, let me try, Danny.
It's stuck, Tartaglia. Just give me a cigarette.
Danny, my wife, Mrs. Tartaglia, says I am the best opener of stuck drawers she ever saw.
Give me a cigarette.
Yeah, sure. Here, Danny. Hey, and how about some circus peanuts to munch while we're thinking?
When do you have time to go to circuses, Sergeant?
Oh, not me, Danny. It wasn't me, it was my kid. Yeah, there was a street carnival on Mulberry Street, so it was my kid.
Okay.
Well, for a minute there, Danny, I thought you were munching me out.
All right. Playtime's over, Sergeant. Have we had any reports that anyone is shy $100 grand?
No, Danny. The money has been reported neither lost, stolen, nor strayed.
Did you check whether Silks made any bets that would have got him that kind of money?
Yeah, Danny. The word from our schoolies is that no bookies is out that kind of dough. Not out to Silks, anyway. The word also is that Silks didn't have a wrinkle deuce to bet on his own name.
Yeah. What do we got on the man they call Marty?
Not a thing. Aside from his autographed $100 bill. Well, we can't find him, Danny. We can't trace him from no place to no place. Danny, you feel all right from that beating?
I've had it better. Sergeant, what's on Dell Ames?
Likewise.
It's an empty day with a hole in it, isn't it, Detective?
Yeah. Huh?
If you want me, I'll be in Gil Sherry's cell. There must be somebody who can tell me something. Anything.
There's no need to humiliate me further, Mr. Clover. Being forced to talk to you is humiliation enough.
Murder doesn't bother you, huh?
As long as it's not mine.
Dying can come to a man a lot of ways, Sherry. You could die as an accessory to Silk's murder.
Well, there are so many things to prove, though, before I die, aren't there, Detective Clover?
If you told us some secrets, you could maybe keep on living. That's as good as money sometimes.
True. That's why I keep my mouth shut. I'll breathe longer that way.
You mean Marty will kill you if you talk to us? I'm not brilliant like you, Sherry, but it seems to me you'll lose either way.
Man has few choices, but the destiny of Gil Sherry will spin itself out as Gil Sherry chooses. That's what my class book said about me.
Yeah, real prophet, your classmates. Real prophet.
Here's the envelope with Sherry's belongings you asked for, Danny.
Thanks. I return your meager possessions, Sherry. Your cigarettes, empty wallet, the fraternity pin, and... This is interesting. Roll of tickets to Pelagus Shooting Gallery. You know Pelagus, Sherry? Pelagus, the ex-bookie? You shoot at his shooting gallery? Yeah, that's what I thought. Happy destiny, Sherry. Happy destiny. Oh, Pelagus. Keeping in trim?
Follow me, Daddy. You're in my way.
Oh, sorry. Nice shot. You angry at somebody?
What's on your mind?
Guy named Marty?
Yeah. You like that shot?
Makes me quiver with excitement.
You think I hit that duck twice before it sinks?
I doubt it.
See what I mean?
You still booking races, Pelagus?
I got caught once.
You still booking?
You're in my way again.
Try getting used to it, Pelagus. Try this. Where would Silksbergen get $100 grand?
Yeah. Where?
From you?
Oh, just from me. From police. I give people $100 grand, eh? That's why I'm running this thing to shooting gallery, because I give such big price. You hit that duck, Lieutenant, I give you $100 grand price. Is that what you mean?
Hello.
No, tell it.
Sono rani Joe Murdoch nesse stofotano. Betty Mama.
Oh, Betty Mama.
Joel Murdoch. Joel Murdoch. Silk's friend, the big guy with Silks in the haberdashery. Pelagus, what's he saying about Joe Murdoch?
It's hard to explain.
Hard, huh? Like this.
Joe Murdoch. Oh, he's against it. Murdered. That is it for us, of course.
Don't spare me that last either. What did you say?
May he rest in peace.
Yeah. See you around, Pelagus.
You're seen of course. Danny Clover. Assistant on us security.
With a thought, I have to think that pal Joey Murdoch was dead for the same reason that Silks was. I checked headquarters, found out that Murdoch's last known address was the Last Paddock Hotel. He shared a room there with Silks. The environment made its own possibilities. The lobby of the Last Paddock had a new embellishment. Above the clerk's desk was an embroidered wreath. To Silks, it said, "You finally beat the bookies." The clerk didn't sound funereal at all.
Sorry, mister, you gotta come recommended. The last paddocks don't rent rooms to just any think that ask.
I didn't mention room. The sign under your chin says information. I'll take that.
You don't look like you carry that much dough.
I got it sewn under my lapel. Here, take a look.
A cop. A shaman.
A real friendly policeman, mister. Come on, the information.
Now, look, I'm a new boy here. You ring that bell, I give you the register. You sign it, you got a room. That's how it works. That's all I know.
Yeah. Say, that's a pretty big safe over there. Why such a big safe for such a small flea bag? New, too.
Yeah, new.
How come? How come such a big new safe?
Look, like I said, I'm a new boy.
Look, friendly, we got laws about new boys that get close to new murders. Put your after lunch sign on the counter. We're going uptown.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. About that new safe. See, we had an old one.
What happened to it?
Well, yesterday the boys opened the old safe and all it gave back was an empty stare.
The boys did. What boys?
The boys, the guys that live here, the bookies.
Oh, they kept their money in a safe, huh?
Sure, it's much safer than a bank.
No peeping T-men that way, eh? That way the bookies don't pay income tax. That way, if their money gets stolen, they can't run to the police.
Yeah. And that's all I know. You can take me uptown, and that's still all I know.
Yeah. Don't go away, friendly. Maybe soon you'll be able to tell your story to an audience.
Get in the car, Clover.
Marty. Good seeing you, Marty. I've been looking all over for you.
Get in the car, Clover. Dolly's looking at you with a gun pointed to where your badge might be. Now just get in the car.
Hey, Tinker. Hey. It's the police again. Maybe we'll get to play some more movies. After I take a gun.
Yes. Golly say.
You'll play later, boys. Wait out here.
Oh, Marty.
Wait. This way, police. In that house.
2 murders, eh, Marty? How does a guy feel when he's murdered 2 men?
A good feeling. I like it. Open the door.
Yeah.
There's someone I want you to meet again, Clover. In here.
Mr. Clover. Mr. Danny Clover. You mind if I blush with joy?
You can still think of a reason to blush, Belle?
Such pretty words for a man who's nearly dead. You got one chance, Clover. The dough. The $100,000. Where is it?
First, I'm going to tell you something about Marty, Belle. He had that money and he didn't know it.
What? What's he saying, Marty?
You tell us, Clover.
Belle, when Marty had me worked over, he should have taken a look at my key ring. One of the keys was for a locker. Locker, money. Marty, how could you be so stupid?
Answer the policeman, Marty.
So I made a mistake, Belle. Don't worry. We got the police. We'll get the dough.
$100,000, Marty, like that, right under your nose. Oh, Belle, you picked yourself a dull playmate. You can't afford a playmate who makes mistakes, Belle.
Marty, you fool. You stupid fool.
Belle.
I've got to ask you, too, Belle. How does it feel to kill a man?
Where's the money, Mr. Clover?
At police headquarters, in my office.
Get on that phone, Mr. Clover. Get on that phone and have one of your flunkies bring it over. No tricks, Mr. Clover. Just tell them...
Hospitals come up close, huh, Pal?
Polego.
It's me. Polegos, the Polegos Student Gallery. You see, Clover, how well they learn from Polegos?
You always teach them with a gun in your hand?
Yeah, one needs something to wrap one's pupil across the knuckles when she is bad. No, Belle?
Belle deserves it, Polegos. She tried to double-cross you. That makes 2. Belle and Marty.
Didn't know you were so much alike, Belle. You and Marty.
Don't listen to the policeman, Polego. No, it's just you and me. Nobody else. It's you and me and $100,000.
Oh, sounds good. To me, that sounds good. How does it sound to you, Clover?
Speaking strictly from a personal point of view, I wouldn't believe it. From a personal point of view, that is.
But Polego's point is you different.
That's all right, Polego. It's all right, isn't it?
Oh, it couldn't be better. Just show me you mean it. Throw away your gun. Huh? On the floor, Belle. Throw away.
Oh, sure. Anything to say.
You're a good girl, Beth. Nice, good girl.
Let go.
Belle was a nice girl. She had nice, good ideas, Clover. How did she say? Get on the phone and have a flunky bring money over. No trick. That's how she said. The flunky comes alone, Clover. I tell you in English, not in Greek, so you understand. He comes alone in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Tartaglia, this is Danny. Silk's dough. Yeah, the 100 grand. Bring it here to me. Yeah, to 8 West 63rd. In my desk drawer, Tartaglia. It's in my lower left-hand drawer. Yeah. Yeah, right away. Come alone, Tartaglia. Alone.
You did good, Clover. Nice good. Now we wait. 20 minutes.
20 minutes, the man said. Just Pelagus and me. There's no one to play him off against. No Monty, no Bell. Just me. The fall guys I'd set up, Monty and Bell, all gone. It all belonged to Pelagus now. 2 new fall guys, Tartaglia and me. A few more minutes, the man said. Mostly the man watched the clock.
You're lucky, Clover. In 2 minutes, you could have died. Open the door.
Hiya, Danny. Oh, here it is. I brought the dough just like you said. Hey, you know, it's good to get away from the office.
With that suitcase on the table.
Huh? Hey, it's the Legos. Hey, and he's got a gun. Hey, Danny, what
Give the man a
those?
suitcase, Tartaglia.
Oh, whatever you say, Danny.
Clover. You're a nice, good fool. I get the money, you still die, huh? You and the funky.
Huh? Talk to us before we die, Pelagus.
I'd like to talk. What do we talk about?
That was your money. Silk stole it from the safe at the last paddock. Thought he could get away with it. He thought you couldn't do anything about it. But you cost it. You had Marty kill him and his friend Murdoch.
You talk all by yourself, Clover. You didn't let me say a word. Now pull your hands behind your head and stand facing the wall. You both. Good. That's nice, good. Now I want to look once more at my money. Too long since I looked at the money. My money. The money.
Something wrong, Pelagus?
This money.
It's what, Pelagus?
It's nothing but paper. Lousy torn up strips of dirty newspaper. Paper is nothing but...
Hit the floor, Tartaglia. I'll take it. Nice good, huh, Pelagus? Yeah. Nice good. First, I kissed Tartaglia on the top of his bald head, because today that's where his brain was. My lower left-hand desk drawer had been stuck for a week, and he'd gotten the cue. Dolly and Tinker, they were sitting outside, just like Marty told them, right in the middle of a police net, just like Tartaglia had arranged. So I kissed him again. So he invited me to a spaghetti dinner. Midnight's a happy time on Broadway. It's crowd and it's laughter, and it's a trumpet that screams. It's a place strung into the night like some phosphorescent alley, and there are heaps there, the bright-eyed kids, the voice that whispers from the doorway, the poet, the dregs. It's Broadway, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover, is produced and directed by Gordon T. Hughes, with script by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. Musical direction is by Lud Gluskin. Be sure to join us next week, same time, same station, for Broadway's My Beat. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. More classic old-time radio coming your way next.
The FBI in Peace and War, ordinarily heard at this time throughout the year, is taking its usual summer vacation and will return to CBS 1 week from tonight on September 1st.
Broadway's My Beat. From Times Square to Columbus Circle, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover.
Broadway. It's a swamp that'll drag you breath by breath into its shadowed pools, or it's a meadow shining with golden light. It's a place and a time and a loneliness that reaches out for you, then beckons you into an airless room and locks the door. You get out or you don't. Either way, it's Broadway, My Beat. A man dies in silence and in dark, and the city sets up a shrieking clamor, and you're part of it. You ride a scream through the crowded, heat-heavy streets, and then you hit a dead end. And it's a building, and a room at the top of the building, and it's a man lying in the center of the room while other men take notes on the history of his dying.
All right, Joe, get one from this angle, huh?
Yeah, hold the light while I
Danny.
focus, will you? Hiya, Danny. Okay, that's good. Got it. Now get a shot of all that food. Oh, what a banquet this guy laid out for himself.
Danny, come over here. This'll interest
It never interests me, Doc. What have you got?
Val Dane, the novelist. Ever read any of his stuff?
No.
Neither do I. The wife does, though. Says she's mad about him. But she went mad over Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm.
Well, let's have tea some other time, huh, Doc? Tell me about Dane.
Yeah, well...
Hey, first tell him about me, huh, Doc? Tell him about me.
Oh, yeah. Danny, this is
Clem Picasso. Yeah, that's who I am. Picasso.
Picasso, haven't I heard your name someplace?
Sure you have. Clem Picasso, the painter. I paint flagpoles.
That's where it was. You were painting a portrait of a flagpole for Dane, is that it?
No, you don't understand. I'm the real article. Let me tell you about me.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for me, you guys wouldn't even know Dane was dead.
Tell me more about yourself.
Well, I was painting a flagpole on top of this building, see? All of a sudden came a gust of wind. I grabbed hold of the pole, dropped my pail of paint right through that skylight there, see? I look for spilled paint. I find a dead man. That is the experience that happened today to Clem Picasso, flagpole painter. Unforgettable.
It'll live in my memory, too. You got anything to add to that, Doc?
Only this, Danny. This room is a fortress. Dane must have built it on top of his penthouse for a retreat. It's ventilated by an air conditioning system. The only source of outside light is that skylight, and that's at least 30 feet from the floor.
Mm-hmm.
There's no phone, and the room was locked and bolted from the outside. Dane couldn't get out. This place is bare. No writing materials, nothing.
Yeah, like a tomb. Maybe he needed this kind of atmosphere to think.
Maybe. All the boys found when they broke in here was Dane and that table, loaded with food, all jarred. Fruits, chicken, all sorts of good things to eat.
What's the matter, Doc? You hungry? Just tell me how Dane died.
He died of starvation, Danny.
Huh?
Yeah, all that food, and he died of starvation. Curious man, this Val Dane. Huh, Danny?
I could have dropped it right there. Val Dane, I told myself, had committed suicide by starving himself to death, thereby obtaining new material for his next novel. That's what I told myself. That's how much sense it made. And that's why I couldn't drop it. In New York, hardly anybody dies in a vacuum. A man as famous as Val Dane never does. There has to be a close friend or relative to break the news to, and in a case like this, to question. It wasn't tough to find out that Val Dane had a wife, now divorced, and the city directory said she lived on West 79th Street. It was apartment 105. As simple as that.
Yes, what is it?
You're Mrs. Dane?
Well, only approximately. Mr. Dane and I are divorced. I've kept his name for my son's sake. You're...
Danny Clover. I'm from the police.
Oh, how interesting. We've never had a caller here from the police. Won't you come in?
Thank you.
I do hope you'll stay until Jimmy comes home. Jimmy is my son, Mr. Clover. I'm sure he'd love to hear the experiences you'd have to tell him. In here, the living room.
Yeah, that's quite a collection of glass toys there on the floor. Clowns, building sets, animals, and all in glass. Jimmy must be an unusual boy.
Oh, yes, he is. That's all I have left in life, Mr. Clover. To make him happy.
There's something I have to tell you that might make you quite sad.
About Jimmy?
No, it's about your former husband, Val Dane. He's dead.
Oh, I'm so happy. Well, I mean, I'm relieved. I was afraid with Jimmy being on the street.
Then it doesn't affect you, Mr. Dane's death?
I think I should be more sad if I read in the papers that a man I never met had died at the age of 93.
I see.
No, you don't, really. How could I feel sorrow for Val Dane? He was a miserable 10 years thrust into my life.
Why do you say that?
Because he was a talented egoist. He cared nothing for Jimmy. Cared even less for me. We lived for him. He lived for Val Dane.
When did you see him last?
2 years ago. In that horrible cabin in the Adirondacks. He forced us to go there so we could write. And one more thing, Mr. Clover.
Yes?
When you write your report about me, put this down. Put down Joanne Dane, Val Dane's ex-wife. She's glad he's dead.
I didn't bother to tell Joanne Dane that her former husband had starved to death. I had a feeling she would have enjoyed that too much. And death doesn't need laughing at. But when I hit Broadway again, death was screaming at me in big black letters. Val Dane had become public property for a nickel a copy. You got the funny papers, too. I called headquarters and asked Sergeant Tartaglia if anything new had turned up. Something you have. Get back to your office right away, the sergeant said. There's a guy who wants to see you. He's hysterical. The sergeant wasn't kidding. Something in my office makes you laugh like that? The pollen, maybe?
I can't help it. It's Richard, the richest one I've ever heard.
Okay, come out of it. Who are you?
My name's Brooks, Lyle Brooks.
Lyle Brooks, huh? Tell me gently, what's so rich?
Oh, I think of it again, Lieutenant. I shall roll on your floor in continued convulsions of hilarity.
And think of something real sad, like a right to the jaw, and tell me what's on your mind.
Why, Val Dane starved to death. Don't you think that's funny? No? Well, I think it's funny.
What tickles you about a man's death, Brooks?
About Val's death? He was such a pig, and he starved to death. Well, that, Lieutenant, is humor. Category ironic humor.
What's your interest in Val Dane's death?
I'm his ghost.
Ghost, huh? Tartaglia.
Yeah, Daddy. Now, what do you want?
Book this guy for impersonating a human.
Hey, that's a serious...
Right now. Tartaglia, book him.
Well, sure. For impersonating a human, huh? Come on, you.
Policemen have a sense of jest, too, I see.
Come on, you.
So I'll explain. I am Val Dane's ghost.
You're doing it again, Brooks.
His ghost writer. I did much of the writing, which is credited to our so literary Mr. Dane. That's why I came to give myself up.
To give yourself up, huh? Did you have anything to do with his dying?
Assuredly not. But you might think so. I hated him. Val Dane cheated me time and again. But this time was the biggest cheat of all.
What's he talking about, Danny?
I'm talking about The Great Fake, Val Dane's latest book. I wrote at least half of it, you know. Got no credit. Val said I would get credit.
What are you trying to tell us?
Just this. If Val Dane met with foul play in any way, I should head your list of suspects. Me and Cynthia, of course. We mustn't forget Cynthia.
Oh, we can't forget her. Cynthia who?
Cynthia Troy. Why, everybody knows she's the woman in The Great Fake. Heaven, do you mean to say you haven't read the book, Mr. Clover?
Mr. Clover hadn't, but Mr. Clover did. The Great Fake, new novel by Val Dane, available at your favorite bookstore, $3 the copy. I bought it, noted it carefully on my expense account, and went home and curled up with $3 worth of vitriol. Because that's what the novel was. A book of hate, a sneering book, a book without humor. There wasn't a person in it, only caricatures dipped in acid. And the leading woman of the novel had been dipped deepest of all. It tweaked me. The next morning, I just had to see her.
I'd been expecting a call from the police, Mr. Clover. Drink?
No thanks, Miss Troy.
Then you won't mind if I do.
No.
I realize it's before noon, but then I haven't had my breakfast yet. You sure you won't have a drink?
Yeah, I'm sure. Just why had you been expecting a call from the police, Miss Troy?
Because I have no doubt about your intelligence. One thing you must know in my business is never to underestimate anybody.
You mind if I ask what your business is?
The same as in Val's novels. I give parties, Mr. Clover. I arrange that the unfortunate rich be impressed by their leisure and their wealth, by opulent and clever parties, Mr. Clover, for an opulent price, Mr. Clover.
Now the question, Miss Troy. Why
were you expected, Mr. Clover? The answer is a question. How do you get a man to starve to death?
I've been asking myself that. You think somebody got Val Dane to starve?
Undoubtedly. Val Dane was a man whose only love was Val Dane. He was too jealous of his love to kill himself. He would never commit suicide.
Then you think he was murdered?
I believe I implied that, don't you?
Did you kill him?
The idea titillates me. Yes, it's a rare thought. Ask me that again, Mr. Clover.
Look, Miss Troy, the social graces aren't one of my, social graces. In your circle, how do you tell a lady to quit stalling?
By telling her.
Then let's quit stalling, huh?
Very well. You've read Val's novel, yes? It made a fool of me, didn't it?
Is that why you killed him? Locked him in that room and starved him to death?
I should like to have done that, Mr. Clover. The idea...
Yeah, I know. It titillates you.
You've started a train of thought, Mr. Clover. I should like to have locked him in that room and spent days of ecstatic joy watching Val Dane starve.
I went back to the clean, almost domestic air of the police laboratory and waited while the lab boys checked and rechecked the coroner's report. No matter how you shook it, it came out that Val Dane had died of starvation. Then it caught up with me what Cynthia Troy had said. It would have given her days of ecstatic joy to watch Dane starve. There was only one place anyone could have done that. That was from the roof and through the skylight of Dane's death room. I took a uniformed officer with me because maybe that kind of ecstasy leaves a clue.
Danny, I've been over every inch of this roof. There ain't a particle of it that ain't intimate and familiar to me. I'm also sick of the sight of it under my nose.
Okay, officer. You can get up off your hands and knees now.
Thanks, Danny. You know, Danny, maybe it'd help if you told me what it is we're looking for.
I don't know. Threaded cloth, a cigarette butt, the smell of hate.
The smell... Huh? Hey, Danny, you dizzy from the altitude or something?
No. You can go now, officer. I won't need you anymore.
Okay. Hey, you know, it's kind of pretty up here.
Huh.
All the lights of the city. See, that reminds me, I think I'll take my wife to the top of the Empire State Building. It'll be like a second honeymoon. Well, so long, Danny. Don't stay too long in the night air.
Yeah. There has to be something. Didn't make sense what I saw. A piece of Scotch tape stuck to one of the panes of the skylight. I leaned down to examine it. And then there was something that did make sense. The sound of someone moving toward me. And then I whipped out my gun and ducked behind the jut of the skylight. And then it found me. When I woke, a sickly dawn spread itself over the roof and over me. I took inventory and found I was missing 2 items. A valuable hunk of skin from my right temple and a piece of Scotch tape. Just that. Scotch tape.
You are listening to Broadway's My Beat with Larry Thor as Detective Danny Clover. A thrill a minute. High-tension suspense from the word go. Dramatic excitement that builds and builds until it explodes in a smashing climax. That's Inner Sanctum, the great mystery show that's another of CBS top-notch Monday night programs. You'll find Inner Sanctum one of the most entertaining spots on your Monday night listening schedule. And remember, Lux Radio Theater returns next Monday, August 29th, for its 15th year of great dramatic presentations. Inner Sanctum, Lux Radio Theater, every Monday night over most of these same CBS stations. Now back to Broadway's My Beat.
Morning on Broadway is like any other August morning on 1,000 other main drags. People are caught up in a salary to be earned, baseball scores, and the heat. You keep moving and do the best you can. The best I could do was to try to push my way through a brick wall. Progress was practically at a standstill. But by now, one thing was obvious. I had a murder on my hands. Val Dane had been found starved to death in a locked room with a banquet spread before him. That in itself was something to nick the curiosity. But when I got too curious, somebody had taken a shot at me. Draw a line and add that up, and you get a 6-letter word meaning foul play. At headquarters, after I had my head bandaged, Sergeant Tartaglia was terse and intelligent about the whole thing.
I can't figure it, Danny.
Now, don't try, Tartaglia. If you could figure it, you'd become invaluable to the department. You'd never get your pension. Did you get what I told you to?
Yeah, one piece of frosted glass, just like you said.
Thanks. Where'd you get it?
Now, Danny, where would you get a piece of frosted glass at police headquarters? Out of the men's powder room. You better hurry up with it.
Yeah. I will tear off a piece of Scotch tape. We'll paste it over the glass like this.
What are you doing, Danny?
Pasting Scotch tape on frosted glass. It's the latest craze. Now we hold it up to the light. Look through it, Tartaglia. Get up close and look through it.
Hey, you can see right through it. The part of the glass with the Scotch tape on it, you can see right through. Hey, that's a neat trick, Danny.
It's also a clue, Sergeant. The skylight to Val Dane's retreat was frosted glass. Somebody stuck that missing piece of tape on the glass so they could watch Val Dane die.
Uh-huh.
Tartaglia, suppose you were locked in a room loaded with food and you were starving to death. What would you do?
I'd eat the food.
Unless what, Tartaglia?
Unless nothing, Danny. I'd eat the food.
Unless what, Tartaglia?
Danny, I said I'd eat the food unless it was Unless it was poison, Danny.
You're so right. Tartaglia, I want all the food found in Val Dane's room transferred to the technical lab right away. I want every piece of it analyzed for poison. I want the analysis on my desk as soon as possible.
Right.
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Danny Clover speaking.
Plainclothes measure cup, sir. Assigned to follow Cynthia Troy.
Okay, Meshika, what do you got?
At 9 a.m. this morning, Cynthia Troy entered the Fifth Avenue apartment of one Michael Green.
Who?
Cream. Michael Cream. C-R-E-A-M. Cream. You know, like in cream. So I took a plant in the hall. At 9:15, I heard loud voices, which at 9:20 become a heated argument.
Who's this Merkel Cream?
Oh, him I checked. He's a yogi.
A yogi, huh? Oh, that's interesting. These guys go on starvation diets to get next to their souls. Thanks, Meshika. I'll stick with Cynthia. Hey, Tartaglia.
Yeah, Danny.
Get my bed of nails. I'm calling on a yogi. The yogi with a homogenized name, Merkel Cream, lived in a rich, creamy Fifth Avenue mansion with a high money-fat content. The outside stairs were covered with a thick layer of perfumed oriental carpet. When you rang, a girl made of copper with bells on the ankles of her bare feet and a jewel stuck in the middle of her forehead opened the door. With a scented arm, motioned you into the presence. The presence was a muscular man with the body of a professional football player, wearing a plumed turban and an imported English tweed loincloth. He sat in the middle of the floor, bathed in the celestial glow of a baby pink spotlight. And then the presence spake.
You have come.
Yeah, Mr. Cream,
Speak not when I speak. You have come.
You said that.
You have come to attune yourself to the eternal harmony that lies 6 fathoms deep in the cosmic sea. You will go into the cleansing room.
Huh?
You will go into the cleansing room and there cleanse yourself and attire yourself in a loincloth. You will find a suitable array hanging from pegs. The panther skin for you, I think.
Look, Mr.
Have
Cream...
no fear. They are sterilized after each use. Now go, tortured one, go.
Look, Cream, I'm not here to cross your palm with
How
silver.
dare you speak to Merkel Cream thus? How dare you, savage?
That's me. Look into your crystal ball and tell me why you should scream at a tortured one named Cynthia Troy and vice versa.
How did you know? Don't answer. I will answer for you. You are omniscient, clairvoyant, like the me that is the true me.
Like the me that is Danny Clover, New York police. I got a hunk of protoplasm named Meshikov who floats under windows and soaks up things like a fishwife's brawl between you and Cynthia.
But you are clairvoyant. The Cynthia underneath Cynthia is a fishwife.
She pays you to tell her that?
Cynthia Troy is a disciple. Disciples fall out sometimes, as you know.
I've heard. Val Dane, he was a disciple, too. What did you do to Dane, Yogi? Put him on a starvation diet for his eternal harmony?
Then you've read his book.
Yeah, he gave you a paragraph. Let's see if I can remember the exact words. The Yogi, a vicious parasite, a jeweled vampire, a stinking phony. Did I quote the exact words exactly, Yogi Cream?
Dane died in a way that pleases me. He died in an agony of hunger. What does it matter if his exact words are remembered? To him or to me, what does it matter?
Yeah. Get up, Cream. You're coming with me. I got a feeling you can give me better answers with your pants on.
You believe that I'm a fake? You believe what Dane said of me?
To put it bluntly, Cream, yeah. Sorry, but yeah. Maybe Dane killed your lush racket with his bestseller. Maybe you knew it would. Maybe you arranged for him to die. Let's go.
Help me up, Mr. Clover.
Yeah, cosmic harmony makes you weak. All right.
You know I can't afford to go to jail. It would ruin me.
Let go.
If you move, Mr. Clover, I'll break your back as if it were a stick of wood.
Let go of me.
A little trick I learned from a man on Amsterdam Avenue. 10 judo lessons for $20. Worth it, don't you think? Don't you think?
I got my lessons for free.
Well, send them back. They're no good.
Let's find out, shall we? Let's find out. Now, my way, Cream. Let's do it my way. Oh. Well, what do you know? The yogi found cosmic harmony. Has to be a phone in this dump. Yeah.
Headquarters, Tartaglia speaking.
Tartaglia, this is Danny. Send a stretcher to pick up Yogi.
Mr. Merkel Cream?
Yeah, he spilled out of his bottle.
One stretcher coming up. Hey, Danny, we got a report on that food.
Yeah? Give it to me.
I was about to, Danny. You know, it is very interesting.
Tartaglia, if you don't talk fast, order a stretcher for yourself, too. What about that food?
Well, that's what I'm telling you, so interesting. It was not poison, Danny. Baldane's food was not poison.
Until the yogi was in condition to talk to me, I had to talk to myself. What kind of man was Baldane? That was the big question, the important question. Locked in a room long enough to starve to death, and he refused to touch the food, the unpoisoned food at his fingertips. Why? What was the mentality of the man? Once, long ago, he had been human enough to marry, to have a family. Maybe that was the clue. Once somebody loved him. Maybe his ex-wife, Joanne Dane, would be calmer now. Maybe she could divorce her memory from ugliness.
Yes? Who are you?
I'm Danny Clover, police detective. Who are you?
I'm the landlady. What can I do for you?
I want to see Joanne Dane.
Joanne's not in any trouble. She's a fine girl. What kind of trouble would she be in?
Anna, I didn't say she was in any trouble. I just wanted to talk to her.
Well, she ain't in.
Where is she?
Oh, Joanne's out for a walk.
With Jimmy?
Jimmy? What are you talking about?
Her son, Jimmy.
Mister, you got the wrong address. Joanne's got no son. Nobody lives here by the name of Jimmy. Say, what kind of a detective are you anyway?
Yeah. What kind, Clover? Let's go find out.
Oh, here are the vital statistics you asked for, Danny.
Yeah?
Hey, when are you going to take me to see South Pacific, Danny?
Oh, any day now, doll. I'm just waiting for that inheritance.
Oh, Danny, stop pulling my leg. Here. Know the vital statistics, Danny.
Read it to me, doll, because your voice is like honey. Read it to me.
Get him. James Dane, age 4, son of Val and Joanne Dane. Died June 22nd, 1947. Cause of death, accidental poisoning. Death spasms took 4 hours. Remoteness of cabin in Adirondacks made it impossible to reach boy in time to help. Signed, Dr. James Robeson.
Hey, Danny, where you going? I haven't finished. Danny, come back here. I've got some things to settle.
I was out when you called before, Mr. Clover.
Yeah, I know. Joanne, your landlady said you'd gone for a walk.
With Jimmy. Jimmy loves to walk on a sunny day like this.
Where's Jimmy now?
Out playing.
Joanne, I asked you before. Now, don't lie. When was the last time you saw Valdane?
I won't lie. A few weeks ago, as I told you.
A few weeks ago, yeah. Another question. Why did you go to see him?
To ask him for money. I hated myself for it, but Jimmy needs clothes. You see, he'll be going to school this fall, and...
I see. Joanne, did you take anything with you, anything that you gave to Val?
Well, I don't think so. I can't remember that I did.
Food?
Why...
food in jars, chicken, preserves, things like that?
Well, now that you mention it, Mr. Clover, yes, I think I...
Yes, Joanne, you told Val that food was poisoned, didn't you? Just before you left, just before you closed the door behind you. You told Val it was poison, didn't you, Joanne?
What are you talking about?
Just before you locked the door and bolted it behind you, you told him that. You pointed a gun at him and told him that.
Why should I do that?
Joanne, listen to me. Jimmy is dead, isn't he?
Jimmy dead? Jimmy dead?
Jimmy died 2 years ago. You know that, Joanne.
No, what? I don't know what you're saying.
In the Adirondacks, one summer 2 years ago. Jimmy took some poison by mistake. There was no way to get help soon enough. You and Val had to watch him die.
You're making all that up.
You blamed it on your husband. You blamed him for bringing you there because it was so remote.
No. It wasn't that way at all.
Yes, it was. You left that food with your husband, Joanne. You told him it was poisoned. You knew he'd never have courage to taste that food after seeing the way Jimmy died. Your husband took his chances with starvation rather than suffer the way Jimmy did.
Jimmy suffered? Jimmy dead?
Yes, Joanne, he's dead. These glass toys are only a lie that you're making yourself
Put
believe.
them down. They're Jimmy's toys.
Your final revenge, Joanne. You had to watch Val die.
Yes.
You came back each night to look through the skylight.
Yes.
And finally, when he was dead, you came back to remove that tape. That's when you saw me.
Yes. And I want to kill you because I was frightened of you, Mr. Clover. That's the only reason. I didn't hate you then. You've got to believe me. I didn't hate you.
Joanne.
But I hate you now. And I've got to kill you now, Mr. Clover. I've got to.
Joanne, put down that gun.
I'll kill you. You broke Jimmy's toys. You broke them. Oh, Jimmy. Jimmy, all your beautiful toys broken. All your toys. Oh, Jimmy. How can you forgive me, son? I'm sorry. Oh, you're
Hello? Give me the police department. This is Danny Clover. No, I don't want a riot squad. I want an ambulance. The doctor. It took 15 minutes for them to come, and in that time I watched the shadows soak up the remnants of her mind. How do you tell a woman her life is done? How do you fill it in reports? How do you make statistics out of it and file it in a ledger? How do you write sorrow as a number? How? Broadway's really living now. It's got a creamy yogi back in circulation. Cynthia is throwing a marvelous party for Patrolman Mishikev. And the ghost, Lyle Brooks, he's haunting another author. Broadway's jaunty now, and it wears a chip on its shoulder. It's flexing its muscles and daring the nighttime. And before it's over, it'll tear itself apart and laugh at its own agony. It's Broadway, the gaudiest, the most violent, the lonesomest mile in the world. Broadway, my beat.
Broadway's My Beat, with Larry Thor, Detective Danny Clover, was directed tonight by Cliff Howell, with script by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. Musical direction is by Lud Gluskin. That man is coming back again. Yes, Arthur Godfrey is returning from his vacation, and he'll be helping some promising young performers up the ladder of success when Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts return to the air next Monday night over most of these same CBS network stations. Along with the Talent Scouts, you can hear such great shows as My Friend Irma, Inner Sanctum, the Lux Radio Theater, and the Bob Hawk Show, all on Monday night and all on CBS. Stay tuned now for Mr. Keene, which follows immediately over most of these same CBS stations. This is CBS, where you hear Lux Radio Theater every Monday, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Our next radio drama is about a fabulous freelance insurance investigator with the action-packed expense account. The show aired on CBS Radio from January 14th, 1949 to September 30th, 1962. There are 811 episodes in the 12-year run, and more than 720 still exist today. Each story started with a phone call from an insurance executive, and each story ended with an itemized expense account signed, Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, right here on HOJO Radio. Next.
Sure, they may have plenty of blue blood in Boston, but from what I just saw, they've got plenty of the other kind, too.
This is another in the adventures of America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator, Johnny Dollar. At insurance investigation, Johnny Dollar is only an expert. At making out his expense accounts, he is an absolute genius.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar. To Home Office, Tri-State Life and Casualty Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of my expenditures during my search for your missing policyholder, Miss Michelle March. Or, she came in like a lion and went out on the lamb. Or, she should have been banned in Boston. Expense account, item 1, $2.85, railroad transportation, Hartford to Boston. Expense account, item 2, $1.80. Cab fare to the corner of Longwood and Huntington Avenue, a half block from the apartment house that was Miss March's last known address. Boston may be called the cradle of liberty, but somebody else got rocked to sleep that morning on Longwood. The shots came from 2 carbines and 2 men in one light tan club coupe parked across the street. I waited long enough to memorize the license number as the pot got out of there, and then I headed for the victim. My heart was pounding, but not from exercise. He'd been sprayed coming out of a doorway that, in another 20 seconds, I would have been going in. But the coincidence didn't stop there.
Oh,
take it easy now, will you? We'll get you some help. Do you know who did it?
March.
What? I didn't get you.
Tell him. Ask. Michelle March.
Michelle March? Well, that's who I'm looking for. What's she got to do with it? Can you hear me? What's Michelle March got to do with it? Come on now, try. I wonder if I should have stayed in Hartford.
Like a shooting gallery. I was inside the shop, and brother, that's where I stayed. Hey, mister, how is he? Can you tell?
Yeah. Let's just say you don't need to stand back to give him air. He can't use it. While the 2 limelight-happy characters from the crowd argued about who was going to notify the police, I disappeared from the scene by way of that death's doorway, pausing inside just long enough to learn from the buzzer panel that Michelle March's apartment number was, unluckily, 213. I didn't bother to look for the apartment house manager. I didn't even bother to pick the lock. I put my shoulder to work on the door. It was an easy apartment to search, but it didn't offer anything to find. The only thing even faintly resembling a lead I found on the floor behind the bureau. A book of matches that advertised Boston's Best Bar by Far, Flannery's, with an address on Washington Street. Just about then I decided that rather than being found at the scene of breaking and entering, I'd look up the police at the scene of murder.
All right, keep moving, folks. Turn them out of here, Sergeant. You'll have to give them a Now, who are you there? What do you got to say about this?
Oh, not much, Lieutenant. He was shot from across the street by 2 men in a tan club coupe. Probably stolen. License number, Massachusetts 3R165. Weapons were carbines, 30 caliber Army issue.
You sure of all that?
Yeah. Here. This will tell you why I make it a habit to be sure of things.
Oh. Dollar. Insurance investigator. Hartford. Well, in a way, that makes 2 of you.
Huh?
I'm Lieutenant Bell, Dollar.
Glad to meet you.
The dead man was a local detective. Private license, good business. And a bad reputation.
Name of?
Something I can't pass out right now.
Well, look, here's why I'm interested, Lieutenant. If friend detective was on a case, he could have been hired to find the same party I was hired to find. And since he was blasted at said party's last known address, it could be that somebody doesn't want said party found. Which paints an interesting but gloomy picture of my future.
Who is this said party?
A girl, Michelle March, reported a missing persons in New York yesterday by a worried sister. who was also the beneficiary of a $25,000 insurance policy owned by Miss March. The insurers, Tri-State Life, got the report from missing persons and hired me to find her.
You think she's dead?
I'll tell you when I find her.
Yeah. Now, what makes you think the deceased might have been looking for her, too?
Because he mentioned her name just before he went bye-bye.
Where are you staying, Dolly? Just in case we need you.
Cartwright Hotel. Now, look, Lieutenant. You've got a murder and I've got a missing person. You can loaf if you want to, but I'm eager. I want to talk to the apartment house manager. Any objections?
No. Go right ahead, Dolly. Good luck to you.
I can't tell you how upset I am over this, Mr. Dollar. I've managed rooming houses for over 30 years in Boston, some very nice ones, too. This is the first murder I've ever had. Oh, why did fate point at me?
Fate didn't point, Mrs. Macy. The gentleman was knocked off because he was involved with one of your tenants.
Oh, that's impossible. I've tried so hard. References, my own personal observation.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Mrs. Macy. In fact, the more personal your observations were, the gladder I'll be.
Well, it isn't that I snooped, Mr. Dollar.
Of course not, Mrs. Macy.
Who was it?
Michelle March, 213.
Oh, she's a lovely girl. But her habits were quite irregular. Often came in late.
Oh. I understand she hasn't been staying in her apartment for the past 2 weeks. Do you know where she went?
No, but I did happen to be just outside her door when she came out with a suitcase and her gentleman caller. Her employer, I believe she said. Something about some work they had to do in the country.
Uh-huh. She leave a forwarding address?
She had little reason to do that. Why, all the time she's been here, the only letter she's gotten is from somebody in Chicago. 1 month. A man, I'd say, from the penmanship. Didn't get one this month, though.
Do you, by any chance, remember what those letters said?
Oh, you young upstart. I'm only trying to help.
I know, Mrs. Macy. You're a lovable old gossip. After Mrs. Macy chased me out of her apartment, I questioned some of Michelle's second-floor neighbors. What they gave me only augmented the story I already had. She hadn't been seen in the company of anyone for 4 or 5 months, until Dapper, medium build, and Swarthy took over. All of them had seen him. None of them knew his name, but they all agreed he was the guy Michelle March had marched away with. Everything I learned added up to a dame getting tired of waiting for somebody in Chicago and ducking out with somebody else. It would have looked that simple if it hadn't been for that detective who had so recently taken up new headquarters at the city morgue. Expense account, item 3, $4.75, drinks and dinner. After which, expense account, item 4, $1.80, taxi ride, taken on the strength of the weak clue I found on Michelle's apartment floor, the match folder from Boston's best bar by far, Flannery's. Flannery's look like they wouldn't want to know how old you are, but how many stretches, and in what prisons. Above a row of greasy bottles, the wall behind the bar was covered with pictures of fighters, right from old John L. up to Rocky Graziano. But none of them looked as brutal as the 8 or 10 gorillas who had their feet on a brass rail. I decided this was no place to ask for a lady, so I asked for a drink. Yeah? Straight rye. Double.
You've never been in before. Where are you from?
I'm trying to forget. Has, Blackie been around lately?
Who's Blackie?
Well, maybe that's not his full name. It's the one I knew him by. He wore a lot of sharp suits, you know, about medium build, dark, swarthy.
That could be anybody. Now drink your drink, pay for it, and move along.
Now, wait a minute. Now, I haven't got anything against the guy. I'm looking for a dame that's with him, see? What's the freeze for?
I need the room, expecting a private crowd. Now beat it.
Time off, Flannery. Maybe I want to talk to these guys.
I see that, Flannery.
Yeah, look, Joe, I beat him with the... I'll get closed up again if I get any more trouble this week. Take him outside, Roxy, huh?
Shut up!
What's this Niles' name you're looking for?
Michelle March. You know her?
Yeah. Let's go someplace and talk.
Thanks for the invitation, but... Let go of the arm. You'll get gangrene when the circulation is cut off.
Sorry. Come on.
What makes you so upset about the lost Michelle?
What do you want with Louis Marine?
Louis Marine? If he's the guy she's with, all I want him to do is to point her out.
You and me might get along at that. It'd be worth plenty to look at.
Hey! The car they were in was different, but those carbines sounded the same. I rubbed my nose raw, trying to bury my head in that sidewalk. I knew they had to empty those carbines sometime, but instead of sounding better, it started to sound worse. I twisted my head, shot a look at the street, saw one of the attackers in the process of falling out of one of the windows of the gun car. Closed my eyes again and realized why they never let my kind of insurance investigator be a policyholder. I'd been sent to find a missing girl, and there I was in the middle of another Boston massacre.
You are listening to Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Charles Russell.
It took a full 20 seconds after the smoke of battle had started to clear for me to realize that I'd been saved by the arrival of fire support from an unexpected source, the police. I looked around for my new friend and brother target, Roxy, but he had disappeared. A wave of suspicion broke over my flow of thought with this question. How did it happen that all those cops with all those guns just happened to be in all those hiding places waiting for those gunmen to drive up and open up? Answer, a hunter's stew like that usually calls for a pigeon. I didn't feel like flying, but I did, straight back to my hotel, with one landing and a newsstand. An evening paper gave me everything else I needed, except the feathers. But I wasn't exactly cooing when I got to my hotel room phone and put a call through to the Boston police.
South Precinct, Sergeant Miller.
Give me Lieutenant Bell in homicide.
One moment.
Homicide, Lieutenant Bell.
This is Dollar, Lieutenant.
Oh, Dollar, sure. I'm glad to hear from you.
I'll have your badge for this.
What did you say?
The evening paper. Quote, Boston private detective, whose name has been withheld by police, was slain today, presumably to stop his search for a missing girl. It was learned by this paper from reliable sources.
Oh, now, Dollar.
But another investigator still alive has joined the hunt for the girl. Johnny Dollar, well-known Hartford insurance sleuth, checked into room 705 at the Cartwright Hotel today. Well, you want more?
Why, I can't understand it. I told the boys not to say a word.
I think the boys didn't.
Oh, now, see here. A man would have to stoop pretty low to use methods like that.
You probably touch your toes every morning for practice. Well, I hope you got the results for your stakeout in front of Flannery's. You got 2 hot carbines and a hot car. The evidence that could have talked, those gunmen, are so full of police lead that your only chance of learning anything now is to find somebody strong enough to pick them up and write with them.
Now, wait a minute, Dollar.
You know who hired them?
Well, I'll find out.
When you get confused, check with me. I think I know. Now, do I get the name of that private detective? The deceased?
Well, I don't see any harm. Bernard Knight.
Hired by?
Well, all right, Dollar. If you'll cooperate, I will. According to his files, he was hired by Roxy Morris to find the girl. Now, who hired the gunman?
I think, but don't know that they were hired by a gent named Louis Marine to stop Roxy Morris from finding Michelle March. Why? We'll have more about that later. But if you'll put a search on that pair of names, I'll look for a good night's sleep. And after that sidewalk, it was easy to find. Oh, Boston. Good morning.
Hello, is this Mr. Dollar?
Wait a minute till I pick you up off the floor. Who is this?
Is this Mr. Dollar?
Yeah, it is.
Well, this is Michelle March.
Huh? Well, good morning, Michelle. I've been looking for you.
That's why I called. I read that you were hired by my insurance company.
Yeah, that's right. They don't like disappearing policyholders.
Well, let me tell you this. If they want to save the money, they'll have to pay for me. Stop looking for me.
What are you afraid of? That Roxy Morris will follow me?
How do you know about Roxy?
Said he'd like to find you and Louis Marine.
What'd he tell you?
Oh, what counts is that I filled in what he didn't tell me. Namely, that he was in Chicago for a year, and you were supposed to be waiting for him in this fatal apartment on Longwood Avenue. But instead, Louis Marine landed, took the situation well in hand, and captured you for himself.
You're just trying this on for size, aren't you?
If it fits, keep it on approval. Now, the point is, there are too many people looking for you to stay lost. Where can I meet you?
How do I know I can trust you? I can't trust anybody.
Look, I'm still working for the insurance company, so my greatest interest is keeping you alive, not selling you out.
What about the police?
My promises aren't equipped with lifetime guarantees, but I'll do what I can. If you tell all, and if the story is big enough, they should be willing to make a deal.
It's big, all right. It'll clear something out of their books that's been there for a year.
Where do I meet you?
Do you know where Charlestown is?
Oh, I know it's part of Boston.
Take the subway and get off at City Square. An hour from now. I'll be in a bar. The Gangplank. On Chelsea Street. Near the Navy Yard.
Okay, sweetie. I'll be there. Up until now, whoever's been doing the shooting has used everything but battleships. Even though Michelle's story sounded like trap bait, cheesy indeed, I had to take a chance. I dove into a cab and had the cab dive into the top of Hanover Street and down to Boston's North End. Playing quiz games with strangers in that section is called Take It or Lump It. But a few well-placed 20s led me to a neighborhood undertaker who had the officially unproved reputation of creating a large demand for his own services. We swapped donations. I gave him $50 and he gave me a large out of the corner of his mouthful.
Listen to me good. About a year ago, the laws picked up Roxy Morris on a suspicion. They had a good idea. He'd heisted a 75G payroll. But there were no witnesses. He didn't leave enough. Roxy knew they'd watch him, so he hightailed it out of town. But he didn't detect the loop with him. The boys around here got it back on the grapevine. He was suffering from the shorts. So, everybody figured he had the dough stashed away somewhere right around the heel.
Is that all? Have you got anything else to tell me?
Yes. Goodbye.
I didn't like the way that undertaker said goodbye. I legged it up to the subway station marked Union, went down in and caught a train for Charlestown. Once at City Square, a 3-block walk down Chelsea Street produced the Gangplank Bar, which in turn produced that nose-bruising smell which comes from slopping beer on sawdust. Out of place in the place sat Michelle March. She was a good looker, with a bad look. And if I had been Roxy Morris, I would have elected her the last national bank. I flopped into a booth beside her. She turned her head my way, looked me straight in the kisser, blew a smoke ring at me, and popped 2 words through it.
You Dollar?
Yep, I'm Dollar. You March?
I'm Michelle March.
Well, so far so good. It's nice hearing you breathe. That means Tri-State Insurance can keep its nice $25,000.
Only if you keep me this way, Mr. Dollar. And that might prove to be a difficult thing to do.
Oh, maybe not so difficult.
Why not?
Well, you indicated yourself that your magnetic personality might suddenly attract a few steel jacket bullets. That means there'll have to be somebody to pull the trigger. So all I have to do is to sit around and see who tries to take a shot at the target. You. And we've got our man.
It's not that easy. I'm in trouble 3 ways. And it's hard to see 3 ways at once.
Look, I know all about Roxy Morris. He swiped $75,000 and gave it to you to mine.
You don't know the half of it. 2 months after Roxy was gone, a guy named Louis Marine came to me with a story that Roxy had sent for $20,000. I gave it to him. Then he told me that Roxy had never sent for it. And that if I squawked, he'd convince Roxy that I'd fallen in love with him and just given him the money. He had the battery tip off the police. He had me going and coming.
Nice fellow.
He wouldn't leave me alone. He made me give him $15,000 more of Roxy's money. And 2 weeks ago, I got word through to Roxy in Chicago. He blew up. Turned on me. I've been running from him ever since. He wants his $75,000, all of it. And I haven't got it.
Oh, seems like you've been taking chances all the way. Now, you know what I want you to do?
No, what?
Take one more. I told Michelle what I had in mind for her, during the next few hours at least, and grabbed a cab back across the bridge into the North End. Expense account item 5, $50. Another donation to my expensive undertaker. This time I paid him for talking, but not to me. Then I took over the telephone and dialed my way through to the guy to whom I was about to give a chance of becoming the ding-dong daddy of the Boston Police Force, Lieutenant Bell.
Yes, Dollar, this is Lieutenant Bell.
Bell, how would you like to get the goods on Roxy Morris?
I'd like it fine.
Okay. And along with that, how'd you like to pin a receiving stolen property rap on Louis Marine?
I hope you aren't just being salty, Dollar.
I'm not, Lieutenant. Now, look, you may have to do some trading with a gal on this deal.
Yeah?
You may have to promise some time off for verbal good behavior.
Well, such things are possible. All right, what's the pitch?
Listen, I have baited a tall, thin granite trap for Roxy Morris and Louis Marine. The bait is Roxy's ex-girlfriend, Michelle March.
Okay. What then?
I had a tipster call Roxy Morris and tell him that Louis Marine was meeting Michelle at a certain place at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah?
I also had Mr. Blabbermouth call Louis Marine and tell him that Michelle is meeting Roxy at the same time and the same place.
What?
I had him tell each of the gentlemen that Michelle was meeting the other one with what's left of the money in cash.
Oh, you started a war, Dollar. Well, but if it does the trick, it's worth it. All right. What's my move?
First, call the place where I've arranged a surprise party and tell them to get rid of the public. Also tell them to let a girl named Michelle March come and go as she pleases. Also me.
Oh, don't tell me you set this thing up in a public place. Where is it?
Lieutenant Bell, what I want is for those two characters to run up a blind alley. And when I say up, oh, brother, they got the word the Michelle meeting would be held at the top of the Bunker Hill Monument.
Oh, no!
And you might remember what General Prescott almost said. Don't fire till you see the red in their eyes. I was back in Charlestown and at the base of the Bunker Hill Monument at 2:45. The door of the museum at the bottom was open, but a state park officer stood by its side. I told him who I was, and he nodded me through the bronze doors. Officer, did Miss Mark get here?
Yes, sir, young man. She went up the shaft.
Oh, well, look, can I run the elevator myself?
There isn't any elevator. Just steps, 200 to 300 of them.
Oh. Ow, this may be going to heaven the hard way, but here goes. Halfway up the winding granite stairs, I yelled for Michelle. But she either didn't hear me or just didn't want to answer. I kept going and hoping. As I came closer to the top, I tried yelling again. Still no answer. Finally, I made it. Up into the observation landing at the top. Michelle was there. She still wouldn't talk, but she had written me a note. Beside her crumpled figure was a vial that hadn't been filled with perfume. The note was short and to the point. Dear Johnny Dollar, I still want to help, but I hadn't better be around here alive when everybody gets here. And it was signed Michelle. As I bent over to see what kind of bye-bye medicine she'd taken, I heard something that might mean a sudden dose of lead to the head for me. Either Morris or Marine had landed, and there I was stuck at the top with a bait that had suckered them into a trap, which suddenly turned out to be mine. Waiting up there in that tiny room for death to come get me would have killed me anyway, so I started down. With the pounding of my heart and my own steps on the granite blocks, I heard the pitter-patter of anything but tiny feet come charging up a narrow staircase. Whoever was coming up and I both slowed down, but my heart didn't. When I crept around a curve and my eyes went to a head-on collision with a pair staring back.
What are you doing here?
I'm a tourist, Roxy.
You may be right, wise guy. You may be taking a trip. Who's up there?
Up there? Oh, I don't know who they are. Just some girl with a guy she keeps calling Louis.
Okay. Let me by. Easy now. Don't try anything.
Roxy Morris tagged me with a butt of a .32 going by. But lying there with my head against the cold granite inside wall of the monument brought me back. And conscious was a very dangerous condition for me to be in, because charging up the stairs came another pair of unfriendly feet that couldn't have belonged to anybody but Louis Marine.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Well, up until somebody hit me on the head, I was tailing Roxy Morris and his girl.
They're up there?
Sure, Louis. Yeah, they're up there.
Then let me by. Come on. Get up out of my way.
Okay. Go ahead, by.
Yeah. But wait a minute. I got an idea. Come on, chum. Ahead of me.
Up you go. You can affront for me. Move!
Louis had a gun at my back, and Roxy had one waiting for me up front. We took the last few steps up to the top real quiet-like. My eyes came level to the floor of the observation room. Roxy was bending over Michelle, but he snapped up in a hurry, and his right hand was loaded with heat. Louis pushed me ahead of him, up and in. I stood there between them, listening to them grind their teeth at each other, with one foot under Michelle's arm. Then I got two big shocks. A scream from Michelle just before she snatched my legs out from under me. Hey, what are you doing alive?
I don't know. I guess I didn't take enough.
Well, whatever you're doing alive, I'll tell you one thing. Your two boyfriends sure took care of each other. Come on. Let me get you out of here. Oh. I didn't think I'd be able to carry me down all those stairs. Now I have to carry you. Expense account, item 6, $20. City Hospital, having Michelle's stomach pumped out. And the way Michelle took my suggestion that she voluntarily turn herself over to the police was very good. Lieutenant Bell was very cooperative. Otherwise, I might let it be known that the reason that he didn't show up on time to help me in the 1949 Battle of Bunker Hill was because he forgot to reset his watch at the end of daylight saving time. He showed up for our 3 o'clock appointment at 4. Expense account total, $786 and no cents. Signed, yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Gordon T. Hughes and stars Charles Russell with script by Paul Dudley and Gil Dowd. Featured in the cast were Bill Boucher, Myra Marsh, Dick Ryan, Larry Dobkin, Charles Seal, and Dorothy Lovett. The special music is written and conducted by Leith Stevens. Be sure to be with us next Saturday, October 1st, when another unusual expense account is handed in by
yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
That's right. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, will be heard on Saturday evenings starting next Saturday. And look at who's going to be here at the same time on Sundays. The world's most famous blockhead, Charlie McCarthy, accompanied by a man who shadows him closely as Johnny shadows the suspect, Edgar Bergen. Yes, Charlie McCarthy and Edgar Bergen have joined the great parade of stars to CBS, along with Jack Benny, Amos and Andy, Horace Height, and Red Skelton, whose show starts next Saturday, or rather next Sunday also. Don't miss the first hilarious appearance of Charlie and Bergen on most of these same CBS stations at the same time next Sunday night and every Sunday thereafter. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. Stay tuned.
This you can really call a fish story. And I was the live bait.
This is another in the adventures of America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator, Johnny Dollar. At Insurance Investigation, Johnny Dollar is only an expert. At making out his expense account, he's an absolute genius.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Intercontinental Marine Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of my expenditures during assignment in San Pedro, California, investigating the loss of 2 pieces of property insured by you. Or the tuna were running and so was everybody else. Or I caught a fishing boat, but you should have seen the one that got away. Expense account item 1, $176.87. Airfare from home base in Hartford to off base in California. Expense account item 2, $10. Cab fare, Los Angeles Municipal Airport to the waterfront office of the Pacific Deep Sea Canning Company in San Pedro. There was perfume in the air. Channel number 5. Inside, the name on the door said Walton. That's who I wanted to see, so I walked in.
Well, who are you?
I'm here to follow up the claim you made to Intercontinental Marine Insurance Company. My name is Johnny Dollar.
Oh, when'd you bring the money? I need boats. A tuna are running.
No, Mr. Walton, I didn't bring any money. All I brought is a suspicious nature and an inquisitive mind.
What the devil do you mean by that crap?
I don't get your fish in a stew, Mr. Walton. This is standard procedure. No insurance company is going to shell out $400,000 without first taking a long, lingering look.
Well, there's not much to look at.
Yeah, so I understand. According to your claim, 2 of your boats, the Frank Walton and the Nancy Walton left port Monday afternoon and headed out on a southerly course. When they tried to establish radio contact Tuesday morning, you couldn't raise them. Pieces of wreckage and the bodies of 2 men were found Tuesday night, indicating that both boats were lost.
That's the story.
What made you so sure that both boats went down?
Because of those 2 men whose bodies were found, one sailed in the Nancy Walton, the other sailed in the Frank Walton. What more do you people want?
Just enough time to check everything thoroughly. You know, this wouldn't be the first time a shipwreck has been faked to collect insurance.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I guess the faster I get you satisfied, the faster I'll collect my money. Sorry I lost my temper, Dollar. I'll do everything I can. Send Captain Carpo in. Carpo's my fleet captain, Dollar. He can give you all the details. But I'm telling you, there aren't any more.
Well, one thing for sure, Mr. Walton. We can't blame it on the Pacific Ocean. According to my report, those boats sailed in fine weather.
That's right. Call me, boss. Yes, George, this is Mr. Dollar from the insurance company. He's here to investigate the sinking.
So? I'm happy to meet you, too, Captain. What do you want? First, I want your theory as to what could have happened.
I don't know. I wasn't there. Maybe they run into each other.
As fleet captain, you hire the hands for the boats, don't you?
That's right.
Are you the kind of man who would hire the kind of skippers that run into each other in clear weather?
They were good skippers. Now you listen to me. I've been captain of this fleet for 5 years. First time we ever lose a port to lose a man. You think we like this idea?
No, I don't, Captain Carpo. I don't think you like it any better than the insurance company likes the idea of losing $400,000. Well, at least if I find those sunken boats, that'll be salvage.
No, Mr. Dollar. That'll be a miracle.
The meeting busted up without me getting busted up, which was unusual in itself. And I hitched myself a ride out to an outfit who knows more about salt water than a Coney Island taffy maker. The U.S. Coast Guard. Enclosed find the statement of the commander of the station, Lieutenant Senior Grade Miles P. Endicott, Jr.
We have made thorough patrols using both air and surface craft. The bodies of the men recovered show signs that lead us to believe that they were blown clear of the lost ships by violent explosions.
All the lieutenant needed to say to make my eyes light up was that one word, explosion. Because in a marine insurance investigator's book, the word explosion sets off another word, scuttling, a widely used wet variety of fraud. In other words, blowing up your own ship to collect the insurance. And continuing this chain reaction, I followed the best available lead. The man in charge of the vessels involved, Captain George Carpo. I found him at 11 that night at a combination restaurant and bar named after the oriental fishing bird, the cormorant. As I looked in through the greasy window, an interesting sight greeted me. Captain Carpo slipping into a booth already occupied by an olive-skinned brunette, who was good enough looking, but obviously less than a queen. Carpo stuck his face in hers, spat a few words at her that I couldn't hear, shook his sledgehammer fist at her, and stomped out through a back door. I gave the front door some business, and, trying to look like I belonged to the place, strolled to the bar, bought myself a blast, and walked it over to the ladies' booth.
Well, who sent for you?
Do you mind?
I haven't got anything to lose if you haven't.
What do you mean by that?
If those are your own teeth, maybe you don't want to lose them.
Oh, Carpo's a jealous type, huh?
You don't believe in sharing the wealth.
Are you Carpo's girl?
Part-time. Who are you?
Well, if Captain Carpo comes back, he'll tell you anyway. So the name is Dollar, Johnny Dollar. I'm an insurance investigator.
Investigating what? Marine life?
Marine death. Those 2 sinkings in the Walton fleet. Company that sent me here insured the boats.
Sounds to me like you got yourself a tough job.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. Who are you going to ask questions? They've been reported up with all hands light.
Who knows? Maybe I'll bump into a talkative seagull. Or maybe, if I'm lucky, a talkative girl.
What have you got that could make a girl talkative, mister?
Well, discounting my natural beauty and charm, I have money. Not too much money, but money.
Keep coming. I know enough not to talk before I get what I want.
Well, that makes it a Mexican standoff. I know enough not to pay for something I haven't heard yet. Let's start out with an inexpensive question, like, what's your name?
You can have that for free. Anita Vargas.
How long you known Carpo?
If you'll pardon the expression, on and off for the last 6 months.
How's he for money? Has he turned into a big spender recently?
Sure. Instead of 2 drinks a night, he's now buying me 4. Carpo will never be a big spender.
Where does he live?
1423 Parade Street.
How far is that from here?
It's here. He lives upstairs.
That called for a change of scene. I didn't know whether Anita Vargas really had anything to sell or not, but I didn't want what was left of our tete-a-tete to be interrupted by a violent re-arrival of the mighty Captain Carpo. So, expense account item 3, $4, picking up our tabs. Item 4, 6 bits, picking up a taxi, which dropped us at another bar, slightly less oriental, but definitely more obnoxious. We grabbed ourselves a table with a view of the sawdust on the floor, and waited for a waiter. He didn't come, but somebody else did. The owner of the lost fishing boats, Mr. Roscoe Walton.
What are you doing with this character, Anita?
I met him in college, Roscoe. Now beat it. Since when have you been getting drunk?
Don't tell me he's your boyfriend, too.
Part-time.
Maybe I'd better get lost. I'll call you later.
Yeah, maybe you better get lost. And stay that way.
Go ahead, Johnny. You better go.
Well, happy hangover, Mr. Walton.
You don't look like no college boy to me.
I was no professor of mathematics either, but I could add this much up. If those tuna clippers had gone down by explosion, somebody had to buy some explosives. Maybe locally. That problem I took to the local police, who went to work looking up names in the dynamite register. And since those explosives would have been planted while the boats were under the care and supervision of Captain Carpo, that problem I decided to take to him. It was 1:30 in the morning when I got back to the front of the Cormorant restaurant and bar. The grease joint was dark, but a light was burning on the second and top floor. I got halfway up the front stairs to ask my leading suspect a few questions about explosions when I heard something. Carpo was still moving when I got up there, but not for long. The back door was as open as the captain's life was closed. I looked down the back flight of stairs. It was either too dark or there wasn't anybody there, and I wasn't going down to look. I bent over the body just to make sure. Oh. First they beat him half to death. I wonder why they didn't finish him that way. Huh?
Well, sir, perhaps it would be best if you were to remain where you are. At least my pistol seems to recommend it. Well, you seem to have done inestimable damage to my good friend Captain Carpo. The poor fellow seems to be definitely dead.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of Johnny Dollar. But first, you might be interested to know that CBS has acquired a couple of blocks of wood. You're not interested? Well, would you be interested if you knew that those blocks of wood had been carved into certain figures? No. Well, then let's try this. Would you be interested if you knew that those carved blocks of wood could talk? Ah, now you're beginning to sit up and take notice. Well, we might as well come out and tell you that these talking blocks of wood are named Charlie McCarthy and Mortimer Snurd, that they and a lively fellow named Edgar Bergen will be making their first appearance over most of these same CBS stations this Sunday evening, and that you'll be able to hear them every Sunday thereafter. Now, with our star, Charles Russell, we return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
There I was again. Always the suspect, but never the tried. With a dead body at my feet and a pistol at my head. The man holding it was neither small nor large. Thomas Mitchell type. His frame was fighting the seams of a sloppy tweed suit, and his pouchy face was fighting the alcoholic content of his blood.
Well, sir, what do you have to say for yourself?
Oh, don't be ridiculous. I came to talk to this man. Killing him would hardly be the way to kick off a conversation. How about you? What are you doing here at 1:30 in the morning?
Most amusing, most. Two accused men, each of them judging the other. With a dead man for a jury. All right, then. As for my testimony, my name is Cricket. I was on my way to discuss with the good Captain Capo a matter of possible mutual profit. Naturally, when I heard the shots from the street, I hastened to his assistance.
I won't ask you how you knew Capo was getting shot instead of doing the shooting. My name is Dollar. I'm an insurance investigator from Hartford, Connecticut. I was sent out here to look into two sinkings in the captain's fleet.
Oh, then you and I share a common interest. My business is ship salvage. It's obvious that I should put up this pistol and replace it with a shake of a hand. How do you do, sir?
In my business, you never know. How do you do?
This is indeed a most fortunate meeting. A pity that it should take place upon the very threshold of tragedy. Poor Capo. His face seems to have enjoyed the worst of an encounter with a monkey's fist.
How's that?
A monkey's fist.
I mean, what's that?
Well, a monkey's fist, sir, is a highly complicated knot woven about a slug of lead to lend weight. Ordinarily, it is intended for use at the end of a heaving line. However, it is sometimes used by seamen in the forecastle in the administering of torturous beatings. Now, what do you make of that?
Well, if we can take the word of the centuries for it, torture suggests the violent seeking of information.
That would indeed seem to be the case.
From the looks of this room, a monkey's fist or any other kind of knot wouldn't be hard to lay your hands on. What's that one on the wall there?
Oh, that is a miniature of a knotted ship's fender.
Fender?
It's a device for cushioning the shock between a ship and a wharf or another vessel. In modern sailing, this type has largely been replaced by the commercial cork variety. Oh, somebody evidently heard the shots and notified the police.
Look, Mr. Cricket, I feel like talking, but not to the police.
Splendid. Perhaps then you would be kind enough to join me in a nightcap at my quarters?
Lead me to it. Mr. Cricket's quarters turned out to be afloat and moored to a dock. It was a PT boat, ex-Navy.
Sit down. Make yourself comfortable.
Right.
Now, first, that nightcap. Yes. Yo-ho-ho, sir, and a bottle of rum. And now, if you'll do the honors...
Delighted.
I will invite the London Symphony to play behind our chairs. Tchaikovsky, the pathetic, utterly beautiful.
Wow, sweet phonograph records, soft lights, and hard liquor. This is the kind of stuff I enjoy in my time off, which this doesn't happen to be.
There we are. Now to business. Mr. Dollar, I assume that the insurance company that sent you out here is not satisfied with the story of the sinking of the two vessels, Frank and Nancy Walton. I assume further that you have been authorized to spend any necessary monies to not only view the evidence firsthand, but also, if that evidence proves a criminal intent, to be able to retrieve it from the ocean floor for use in court. Are my assumptions correct?
They are. But it can't be as simple as you make it sound. The first job seems to me the toughest. Finding the spot where those clippers went down.
I would venture to say that with my special equipment, I could detect the presence of the fillings in Davy Jones' teeth. It is fantastic, sir.
And about your price. Is that fantastic, too?
My proposition is this. A flat price of $5,000. And, in the event that criminal intent is proved, the possession of the recovered hulks.
I assume this $5,000 is only payable if you succeed in locating the boats.
Let us substitute the term returnable for the word payable. I will need $5,000 in advance, and our contract shall state that in the unlikely event of failure, you shall get your money back less my necessary expenses. Agreed?
Agreed. I'll have your money for you in the morning.
Good. I trust I shall have your boats for you in the afternoon.
I couldn't tell yet about his fantastic sonic sounding device, but otherwise, Mr. Cricket was well equipped. By ship-to-shore telephone, he ordered me a taxi, which I ordered to a corner near Roscoe Walton's Pacific Deep Sea Canning Company. Carpo's death made me want to get a good look at Carpo's office. Something about the way he died kept baiting up the thought that there was something fishier about this case than just plain old-fashioned insurance fraud. The only thing that was out of place in the place was under a rug, under Carpo's desk, a wall safe sunk in the floor. That proved easier to open than a poker hand with 3 aces. I lifted the heavy steel door. The first thing I saw was an oblong package, brown paper. I stuck one hand in to lift it out, and I couldn't. So I used 2, and my back. It was as heavy as lead. But when I tore off the wrapping, I saw that it was as valuable as gold, because that's what it was, a gold ingot. I didn't even have time to wonder because the subject suddenly changed from lead to gold to cold steel in his voice and in his hand.
Hold it there.
Hey, Mr. Dollar.
It's a little late to be canning fish, isn't it, Walton?
Yes, it seems to be just right for breaking and entering. What are you doing here?
Entering the last phase of this investigation, Walton, and breaking the back of your little racket. Or I should say big.
What do you mean, racket?
To me, it looks like your boats have been bringing in more than fish from the Mexican coast. This heavy little handful makes it look like they've been hauling in Mexican gold.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to stand here and be accused.
You're so right you're not going to stand there. Now, lose me. Give me that. You and take this.
Johnny, are you hurt?
Are you kidding? You'll never make a living being a fight referee. I'm what is commonly known as the winner.
Johnny, do you really believe what you said is true?
What about smuggling in Mexican gold?
Yeah.
Listen, Anita, when you find a private citizen with a gold ingot, he is not using it for a watch fob. The only thing I learned after that was that 2 hours in the sack does not constitute a good night's sleep. By 10 in the morning, 1 phone call east and 1 telegram west delivered $5,000 into my hands from a local bank. And I, after a quick call to the Coast Guard to cover a few final details, placed myself into the hands of Mr. Cricket, Deep Sea Guide Extraordinary. 2 jolting hours later, our bucking bronco with a briny had us crashing to the swell somewhere off the island of San Clemente, which is somewhere some 60 miles off the coast of Southern California.
Well, Dollar, my boy, enjoying the voyage?
Yeah.
Oh, come now. This isn't what a sailor would call rough weather, you understand?
I understand. I only hope my breakfast does.
Oh, this is nothing. Why, I recall one time off the Spanish coast.
Mr. Cricket!
Yes, my man?
According to my reading, we're about there.
Good. Reduce your RPM. Now, Dollar. Now, prepare to be amazed.
Mr. Cricket had good reason to chirp about one thing. He sure knew his business. An hour later, the hulks had been located. We were riding on a mushroom anchor. A diver had been put over the side and was tug-of-war topside by a cable on a winch.
All right, careful now. Okay, clear the rail. Easy, does it? Far away. He's aboard and back.
Quickly now, get his helmet off. Now, Dollar, we shall see.
For $5,000, I'm going to have to see.
Well, Riley, what luck?
We hit it right on the nose. They're both down there 30 yards apart.
Well, Dollar, are you satisfied?
Just about 90%, Mr. Cricket.
Oh? And the 10%?
Oh, look, it's this way, Mr. Cricket. If this case gets any place, I'll probably have to testify in court. So far, everything I've got is secondhand. That isn't worth much in court. I've got to see those boats.
What? Well, good heavens, man. You mean you want to go over the side?
I don't particularly want to, but it seems to be part of this job. Many times before in my career, I had thought I had a heavy weight on my shoulders. But that diver's helmet set the new record. And those lead shoes and that rubberized canvas suit didn't feel exactly zoot. The temperature of the water outside felt much cooler than that forming on my brows. This was a steam bath, beer tight. 8 days later, in my mind at least, my lead wedgies groped to a foothold on a slimy bottom, and I had arrived shipside. As I had no immediate way of determining the sex of a sunken ship, I couldn't tell from abaft abeam whether I was looking at the Frank or the Nancy Walton. About then, a passing current grabbed me and invited me out to dance along the ocean floor. I grabbed out for anything for support. It turned out to be a rope hanging from the clipper's gunwale.
Well, Dollar?
Well, the drift passed on in a huff.
All right?
I had a chance to take a closer look at what I was hanging on to. The line was secured to a woven rope ship's fender, which Mr. Cricket had not so long before told me was fashioned about a buoyant core of cork. But this one felt heavy enough to be loaded with county cork. And as for buoyancy, this was about as buoyant as a lead balloon. It was resting on the bottom and heavy to lift. The next current that swept over me was mental. I clawed the shark knife out of the diving suit belt, started hacking at the woven rope, then through a thin layer of canvas. And that's as far as I got.
Dollar, is this phone system operating? Here now, Dollar. Are you there?
This ain't the three little fishies.
Oh, good. Have you seen the ships?
Yeah, they're here all right.
Are you satisfied that they were sunk by explosion?
Yep. They're blasted in all directions.
Then I have earned my $5,000, and I must bid you farewell.
What? What are you talking about?
Oh, you have been all but lost in a diving accident.
Oh, yourself! What'll that get you?
In disposing of you, sir, I am confident that as well as pocketing your $5,000, I will also do away with the meddling of the insurance company. You see, when my diver comes down to recover your unfortunate body, he will continue our search for the gold.
Oh, well, I've got news for you, pal. You evidently didn't knock the hiding place out of Carpo before you killed him. But I was lucky. Not only have I already found that gold, I have stashed it.
Here now, Dollar. You're bluffing.
If you think so, turn off my air.
So you do know about it. Dollar, tell me honestly, are you open to terms?
Well, I'll think about it. All away! The trip up was slower than the trip down, which was luck for me. The first thing I heard when I broke to the surface was muffled by the helmet, but unmistakably gunfire. The Marines hadn't landed, but by George, the Coast Guard certainly had, and I had a grandstand seat for the whole affair. My winchman was busy ducking bullets, and the winch just didn't decide to stop on its own hook. So I went riding skyward until I was stopped by the tip of the boom. And there I was, hanging on its own hook, suspended over the deck, looking through my helmet glass at the raging battle below. Pickett, directly below me, was pumping a high-powered rifle, and between shots, shouting curses at whoever had opened fire on the U.S. government. Lieutenant Senior Grade, Miles P. Ennigan Jr. stood silhouetted against the sky on the flying bridge of the Coast Guard cutter. I looked down 20 feet between my dangling lead-weighted feet and saw Cricket taking careful aim in his direction. So once again I grabbed my razor-edged shark knife, stuck it under the copper rim of my breastplate, and whipped at the canvas. And bombs away! My weight did the rest! Expense account, item 5. cab fare to the San Pedro Police Headquarters where I made my statement and heard Mr. Crickett's. A badly damaged Mr. Cricket.
Well, sir, during a short stay in Cleveland, it was brought to my attention that every city in the country was suffering an epidemic of small-time gold robberies. Dentist offices, pawn shops, and so forth. Such a condition piqued my curiosity. As well as my love for money. And I studied the situation more closely. To my amazement, I learned that the gold was being melted down, fashioned into ingots, and sent off somewhere to the Orient for use in the gold and gun smuggling traffic. It occurred to me that if I could intercept the gold immediately after its dispatch, under the guidance of Captain Coppo, to a larger ship, being met at sea by his tuna clippers, then I could realize for myself a tidy profit.
Expense account, item 6. $7.50. A 5-pound box of chocolates for Miss Anita Varghese. Address, San Pedro Municipal Jail. It seems that the police sometimes classify a part-time girlfriend as an all-time accomplice. Expense account, item 7, airfare, Los Angeles to Hartford, $176.87. And being Friday, what do you think they serve for dinner on the plane? What else? Tuna fish salad. Expense account total, $1,264.28. Yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Gordon P. Hughes and stars Charles Russell. Script by Paul Dudley and Gil Dowd. Featured in the cast were Willard Waterman, Junius Matthews, Edmund McDonald, Georgia Ellis, Larry Dobkin, and Paul Dubois. The special music is written and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Be sure and be with us at this same time next week when another unusual expense account is handed in by yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Every fall, the ladies like to go out and get some new fall clothes. Well, CBS has gone out and gotten some new fall shows. One of the gayest of these new programs is The Red Skelton Show, which makes its bow over most of these same CBS stations this Sunday night. There's no one quite like Red Skelton, as you'll find out when you tune in tomorrow. The Red Skelton Show is a part of the CBS Great Sunday Night Laugh lineup. Don't miss it. Now stay tuned for Von Monroe, who follows immediately over most of these same CBS stations. Paul Masterson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Get this and get it straight. Crime doesn't pay, which was the motto of our next broadcast from the pen of Raymond Chandler. The first show aired on NBC in June 1947. And then in 1948, the series moved to CBS, where it was renamed. For 114 episodes, the CBS version ran and ended in September 1950. It was a more hard-boiled program than many of the other private detective shows at the time, containing few quips or quaint characters. We're proud to present to you The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, right here on HOJO Radio.
The startled corpse, a blue-eyed woman, and a cryptic message scrawled by a dying man, with the pieces of a Chinese puzzle that wouldn't fit together, until I found out what was deadly about the orange dog.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character as CBS presents The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. And now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Orange Dog.
by 6 in the evening of a very slow day. I'd resigned myself to the business of no business. So I took my feet down from my desk, switched off the lights, and started out the door for home with the prospect of a nice, quiet evening ahead of me. But I didn't make it, even as far as the door. Oh. Hello, Philip Marlowe.
Marlowe, my name is Shelley Martin. I'm at 8412 Los Feliz, a private residence. I want you to come out here right away. My sister is in a jam, a nasty one.
Well, Miss Martin, as a matter of fact, I was just closing up for the night.
Look, I need the services of a private detective right now this minute, and I'm prepared to pay for them. There are plenty of others in town. Are you coming or not?
Yeah, okay, and thanks for the reminder. That's me you hear sprinting up your front walk.
That's much better. And Marlowe, bring your brains along. You're going to need them.
And that was the end of my quiet evening. But I just couldn't resist those government engravings of Mr. Lincoln. So I drove down to Weston, turned off on Los Feliz, and found the number 8412. The yard was an overgrown tangle of perennial plants losing their battle with the weeds. It was like a girl in a strapless evening gown with her hair up in curlers. However, I could see a light through the Venetian blinds, and the doorbell worked with a resonant two-tone chime that caused the door to open just far enough to allow a pair of eyes so blue they were almost purple to peek out at me.
Yes, what is it?
I'm delivering that private detective you ordered.
Oh, Marlowe, come in.
Thanks.
Sit down, won't you?
Thanks again. All right, what's the next move?
It's about my kid sister. She's involved with a man named Lou Horner, a San Francisco broker. She's quite deeply involved, I'm afraid.
Oh?
You see, some very strange things are going on, Marlowe, and my sister is a naive kid caught right in the middle of them.
Yeah, I see. What sort of strange things, Miss Martin?
Shelley.
Sweet.
Well, to begin with, when I arrived from San Francisco today, my sister called me and asked me to meet her here in this house. When I got here, the lights were on, the radio was playing, and the front door was open. But the place was deserted.
Whose house is it, Horner's?
No, I think she said it belongs to a friend of his who's in Europe now. This Horner person uses it when he's in Los Angeles.
Well, couldn't they have stepped out for a while?
Mm-mm.
You know, you don't look the type, Shelley, but maybe you're just panicky, huh?
No, I'm not being panicky.
All right. Where's the nasty jam?
Right behind the couch. Take a look.
Okay. But you know, I see what you mean. Who is he, Shelley? How'd he get here?
Maybe it's Horner, I don't know. I tried to search him, but I couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wouldn't have helped anyway. Whoever shot him cleaned him out. No wallet, no papers, nothing.
I found this magazine lying under his hand. Look here.
Mm-hmm.
He must have written this just before he died.
Where's that?
Here.
Oh. It says, call Marion tonight about the orange dog of Foe. Orange dog of Foe. For what?
That's why I called you, Phil. Marion is my sister. And whatever the orange dog of Foe is, it must be awfully important. We've got to find out what it means, Phil, for Marion's sake.
So far it means murder, honey, and that's for the cops.
No, Well, all right, call them. But keep Marion's name out of it. A thing like this could destroy her.
But look, maybe she pulled the trigger on our friend here.
Maybe, but I don't think so. She's a sweet kid, Phil. Give her a break. If I'm wrong, I swear I'll help you bring her in myself. Is that fair enough?
Okay, Shelley, it's a deal. It makes just as much sense as the orange dog of Foe, but no more. After I'd checked as far as I could on my client and sent her home, which was to the Villa 12 at the Wilshire Gardens Hotel, I ripped the General Squeegee tire ad with a message scribbled across it out of the magazine, folded it up, and stuck it in my pocket. Next, I called Lieutenant Ibarra at Homicide and told him where I'd found a body, probably named Lou Horner, leaving out all the details about Shelley, Marion, and the orange dog. Then I started out the door, but got back as a shadow slid across the walk. I caught a glimpse of a large, ugly head of long, dirty hair set on a small, ugly body that was moving fast. By the time I got out on the walk, Longhair was already putting mileage on a green coupe with a broken taillight. It winked mockingly as it went out of sight. So I got in my car and headed for New Chinatown. It was the logical place to get some information regarding a Chinese dog. I saw a light filtering through a dingy window, illuminating the words James Tang, dealer in Oriental curios. Inside the musty shop, a little man, dressed in a black kimono, drifted forward softly.
Yes?
I think perhaps you can help me, huh?
I am honored. To be able to help would bring fragrance of plum blossoms to my nostrils, carpet of rose petals to my humble floor, and 1,000 blessings upon my head.
Oh, that's very pretty. Tell me, what is the dog of foe?
The dog of foe? Why, this fantastic creature here is called the dog of foe. His fierce eyes and snarling mouth are to frighten away evil spirits from temples of Buddha.
Why do you say called the dog of foe?
Amateur collectors and auctioneers have named him that. It sounds exotic to cash customers. Actually, he is a lion. The lion of Korea.
I see. Tang, would you happen to have an orange dog of foe?
Very strange that you should ask that, my friend.
Strange? Why?
Reason number one. There is no authentic orange dog of foe.
That's a good reason. Why not?
Because to Buddhists, orange is color of sorrow. The piece you speak of could not possibly be authentic.
What's reason number two?
You are second person to inquire after this non-existent orange dog of foe within the last few minutes.
Was it an ugly little man with long hair?
Quite contrary. It was a very pretty girl with short hair.
Was her name Marion?
She made point of not leaving her name.
Well, that proves something.
However, my friend, old Chinese proverb, loosely translated, says a little knowledge is the instrument of a fool.
There were 9 other curio shops in the neighborhood, so I started making the rounds for the non-existent orange dog of foe and a girl who was interested in one. From the first 3 shops, I got a fast horse laugh in the fact that the girl was still ahead of me. The next 2 netted an insult apiece and a total blank on the dame. And from the 6th, called Saxon's, a glossy, well-ordered place on West 7th Street, the only effect was a coldly curious raised eyebrow. The man in front of me, whom I took to be Mr. Saxon himself, was a gaunt white Russian with a high, naked head the color of warm paraffin. His slender fingers played nervously with each other as we talked.
The orange dog of foe. Yes, I have heard of such a piece, I think. It would be porcelain.
Probably. This is your business. Who has it, Mr. Saxon? Can you tell me?
No, I'm sorry. I believe I heard this orange dog mentioned just once, somewhere down in the village. But I'm sure I could never remember who spoke of it or when.
Oh, no idea of its value then, huh?
Now that you mention it, I seem to remember the figure 20,000.
You mean yen? How much in American money?
I am speaking of American money. It would be an importation from China, you know.
How could it be worth that much? It's not even authentic, Mr. Saxon.
Authentic? You seem to know a good deal more than I about this orange dog. Possibly one would have to see it to appreciate its value.
Yeah. Tell me, has a girl been in here tonight looking for this orange dog?
A girl? I know.
Know anybody named Marion?
Marion. No, there is no one in my acquaintance by that name. But why do you ask?
Because Marion has quite an interest in the orange dog. I have a feeling they'd make a great team if we could get them together.
I see. And what is your name, sir?
It's not Fu Manchu, Mr. Saxon. Good night. Saxon's expression didn't change. I turned and walked out of the place, and then because, with both of us using double talk, the conversation was bound to deteriorate. At least I had found out that the orange dog of foe existed. It was going for a very high figure, especially for a phony. And it didn't take an abacus to figure out that Saxon knew more than he told me. Well, I started up the sidewalk to the next bric-a-brac emporium when I saw something parked on the side street which brought me to a halt. It was that green coupe with the broken tail light. I went over to it, found it empty, and stuck my head inside to check the registration card for Longhair's real name. Yeah, it was a very foolish move because Longhair at that very moment prodded my kidney with the muzzle of a .38. And neither he nor the gun had a sense of humor.
All right, Mr. Wise Guy, come on, walk. You and me are going up the alley here.
What's the matter? Don't you feel at home in the light?
Shut up. I don't like it much anyway, so you better ease off with the smart science. Okay, that was far enough. Well, Mr. Wise Guy, did you find what you're looking for?
You mean the orange dog, Shorty? The answer's no.
The orange dog. So that's where the plates are.
What plates?
You're working for Horner. You don't know what plates.
Look, chum, when you get your next haircut, have your brains dusted off. Nobody works for Horner anymore. Horner's dead.
Dead? Since when?
What's the surprise act for? You saw the body. You were sneaking around that house on Los Feliz. In fact, you might have killed Horner yourself.
That body wasn't Horner. Why, Horner's 3 times the size of that guy in Los Feliz. He's bald. Also, he's so dumb he can't remember his own phone number. Oh, hold it.
I'm looking for Olvera Street where they sell those enchiladas. I'm sorry, gentlemen. I don't want to intrude.
Hey, quiet. I'll blow your brains out. All right, now, come on, Mr. Wise Guy. Tell me what Horner's got on his mind. You know all right. I saw you taking orders from his girl.
You mean Shelley Martin?
Who else?
Thought maybe you meant Marion.
Marion? Who's Marion?
Shelley Martin's sister, and don't let her worry you. Marion's got the orange dog eating out of her hand.
I don't say. It ain't funny, mister. It's just peculiar. Because Shelley Martin don't have a sister, I know. So it seems like you're a very mixed-up character. In fact, Mr. Wise Guy, you're so mixed up, you're no good to me at all. So get over there with the rest of that.
I took my time getting up. The dirty, long-haired little man was gone, and my head ached from the rap he'd given me with the pistol barrel. And I was disgusted with myself. Dry, dirty, disgusted like a drunk at sunrise because a nasty little jerk with an oversized head and a blue-eyed dynamo with auburn hair had me jumping through hoops like a trained ape. I stood in the alley and swore at myself until the futility of that routine dawned on me. Then I decided to go hunting. But I made one stop first at a telephone to at least get Ibarra off my conscience.
Lieutenant Ibarra.
Hello, Lieutenant. I just found out that body on Los Feliz isn't Horner.
I knew that an hour ago.
Huh?
The body isn't Horner's, and Horner is no broke. He's a counterfeiter, a big one.
Oh.
The dead man was a Treasury agent named Slade who was closing in on Horner. So if you've got anything you haven't told, Phil, you better get it off your chest.
At this point, it's a pleasure. Girl named Shelley Martin's calling the signals about now, and she can be found at Villa 12, Wilshire Gardens Hotel. Yeah, hurry. You'll just about meet me there, Ibarra.
Now, wait. Suppose you go alone and find out what you can first.
That's a switch.
I'll follow in half an hour. Let's not freeze her up, Marlowe. Let's keep her talking, okay?
Okay, Ibarra. That's easy for her. She's got a forked tongue. Only this time it's going to wag strictly on the straight and narrow, I guarantee it.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of the adventures of Philip Marlowe. But first, it's no mystery that hunger and cold confront many families abroad this winter. CARE will help feed and clothe these needy people. CARE, the safe, sure, non-profit way to send supplies to Europe and Asia. A check to CARE for $10 will send a 21.5-pound, 41,000-calorie food package, or a baby food package, or a layette, or a baby blanket package, or material for clothing. CARE guarantees delivery. You get a signed receipt that your package has reached its destination. Write your check tonight. Mail it first thing in the morning to CARE, C-A-R-E, 50 Broad Street, New York City. And now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Orange Dog.
Pointed my car toward the Wilshire Gardens, and a beautiful liar named Shelley Martin, I was sure of two things. The plates that Long-Hair had wisecracked about just before he piled me into a row of garbage cans were the engraved kind that counterfeiters use to make money the easy way. And second, both Long-Hair and Lou Horner were racing for the plates as well as the orange dog, which could be one and the same thing. But 20 minutes later, as I pulled up near Villa 12, which was strips of yellow light and raised voices drifting out of half-open Venetian blinds, I forgot about the gentleman involved and concentrated on a lady who didn't have a sister called Marion. I went around to the back of the villa where I found the service door unlocked and the kitchen beyond dark. And when I entered and quietly moved to a spot near the living room where I could see Shelley snapping at a pompous, excitable man with a red face,
All right,
I figured that a little eavesdropping might pay
where I
off.
belong. I'm here in Los Angeles. Is there anything wrong with that Mr. Horner?
Yes, everything. Why, I wouldn't even have known you were in town if I hadn't gone back to the place in Los Feliz where I saw you and some man having a delightful little chit-chat over the body of that T-man.
Treasuryman?
Yes,
Is that who he was?
a meddlesome fool I caught snooping through my papers.
Then Then you killed him, Lou.
Of course I killed him. I had to. Now stop asking questions and get out of here. Because this is business, not pleasure, Shelley. And that leaves no room for you.
Or Marion.
What do you know about Marion?
Not enough. But what I do know, I don't like. Look, Lou, who is Marion, and what does she mean to you?
Marion means money to me, Shelley. Nothing more. So just leave me alone here so that I can make a call according to schedule.
A call about... Lou.
What's the matter, Shelley?
Behind you, Lou. They're in the garden. Lou!
The bullet crashed through a closed window, didn't stop until it got to Horner, who grabbed at his chest and dropped to the floor even before the glass quit flying. And by the time I got outside to where the shot had come from, I'd found nothing but a little wind rustling a lot of trees. When I got back to Shelley and the blood over tweed on the carpet, Horner was already dead.
Marlowe. Marlowe, the man out there was Henry Peel.
Peel? Something in long hair and dirty clothes?
Yes, I met him in Horner's office once. Lou said he was a broker from Chicago.
Come on, both Peel and Horner are counterfeiters.
What? Lou, a counterfeiter?
That's right. Never mind the carefully arched eyebrows, honey. They mean nothing.
But, Marlowe, I swear I never knew that Horner was anything but a broker.
A broker maltreating poor sister Marion? You're a liar, Shelley.
About Marion, yes. I haven't even got a sister. But from there on out, I'm telling the truth, Phil.
Then tell some more and fast.
All right, here it is. Lou Horner's been my boyfriend.
And, checkbook?
For the past year and a half. But about a month ago, he suddenly stopped being very attentive. And I couldn't figure out why.
So you decided to keep your big blue eyes wide open, huh?
Exactly. And it paid off. Because I found out that, 1, he had taken better than $20,000 out of his bank account. 2, that he was coming down here to Los Angeles.
And 3, that an item named Marion might be beating your time.
Yes. And that part of it upset me plenty. Until 10 minutes ago. But then I found out that Horner here was a murderer, and that, Marlowe, I don't buy.
3 cheers for the all-American girl.
Oh, skip it, Marlowe. I'll live my way, you live yours.
Don't worry, honey. Nobody wants to change places with you. Hey, look. Why does Horner wear a little rubber band on his little finger, do you know?
Oh, he had a bad memory. Used every kind of gadget in the books to keep himself from forgetting things, especially numbers.
Oh.
Well, for example, that rubber band might mean 10 o'clock.
How do you figure?
Like 5 and 5. The fingers on each hand, reading from left to right. He used things like that.
Oh. Wait a minute.
Hmm?
Horner was going to make a call to Marion just now, and the message the T-man left was...
Call Marion tonight
about the orange dog of foe. Shelley, baby, where's your phone? Fast. Come on, it's 10:15 already.
Well, it's out there in the hall, Marlowe.
Oh.
Well, what are you talking about?
A line, honey, a line on your ex-sister, Marion.
This is Mr. Saxon.
Ah. Lou Horner, Mr. Saxon. I know I'm some 15 minutes late with this call, but I'd still like to see you about the orange dog of foe.
Certainly, Mr. Horner. The orange dog is here, waiting for you.
Good. I'll be right over.
Marlowe, who is Mr. Saxon?
A man very close to a lot of trouble, Shelley. Now, look, you wait right here for the law, and in particular, one Lieutenant Ibarra. Tell him nothing but the truth about Horner and what he meant to you in dollars and cents, and you may be all right.
But where are you going, Marlowe?
To a curio shop on West 7th Street to see, among other things, the orange dog of foe.
You are the Mr. Horner who called?
Yeah. Also the one who was here this afternoon, you remember?
Oh, yes.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't call you at 10, Mr. Saxon, according to schedule. I hope it hasn't inconvenienced you.
No, that's quite all right, Mr. Horner. One moment, sir.
What's the matter? Is anything wrong tonight? Seem on edge, Mr. Saxon.
I am. So please, Mr. Horner, don't make a single stupid move.
What? Wait a minute. Why the gun, Mr. Saxon? I promised not to bite the orange dog.
You won't even touch the orange dog. Now, who are you?
Oh, we've been all through that. I'm Horner, Saxon. Lou Horner of San Francisco.
No, you're not. Horner would have had no reason to wander around curio shops as you did this afternoon, asking any and everybody about the orange dog. Now, once more, who are you, and where is the real Lou Horner?
All right, we'll take them in that order. I'm a private detective named Philip Marlowe, and Lou Horner's a corpse. But also, I'm a good friend of yours, Saxon, because I'm going to give you a little bit of advice for free. Call it quits, Buster. You're licked.
What are you talking about, Marlowe?
A T for Treasury man named Slade. Before he died, Saxon, he talked.
I see.
Yeah, and believe me, he said enough to put you away till orange dogs are as popular as lifesavers. What do you say, Saxon? Do we play it smart?
Very well, Marlowe. We will play it smart. My kind of smart. Now, turn around and walk through that curtain there. I want to show you something.
Orange dog, maybe?
Yes, the orange dog of foe. I want you to see it for yourself before you die.
Saxon said die like it already happened. And after he relieved me of the comforting bulge of the gun in my pocket and marched me to a large, windowless room that was a little darker than the lining of an 8-ball, he told me to stand very still. Then he turned on a single lamp that rested on a large, scarred table, and next to it an ordinary shipping crate and cushioned on all sides by white wrapping paper. I finally saw the orange dog of foe. It was a porcelain lion, pop-eyed, majestic in a crazy way. And also it was colored orange, bright and clear. But now that I'd seen it, I knew that the next move was Saxon's, and I turned to face him. It was then that I noticed the black curtain behind him moved slightly, and Longhair quietly stepped into the room. This Mr. Saxon did not know about.
Well, Marlowe, now that you have seen the orange dog for your first and last time, what do you think of it?
He thinks it's just Jim Dandy, mister. Now drop your gun before I blow the top of your head off. Go on, drop it. It's better. Now sit down there and stay put. You, Marlowe, get across the room.
Okay. Thanks for showing up, Peel, before Saxon here ran out of small jokes.
Don't kid yourself, Marlowe. I didn't just show up. I've been right behind you all the way. That's how I work.
So what do you want, Peel?
A couple of very fine engraved plates that I've been after for 6 months now.
Plates which could be in the orange dog of foe?
No place else but. Or do you think that maybe the late Mr. Horner wanted as an ornament?
But that's all it is. There are no plates in the orange dog. It is only a collector's item.
And you're a liar, Saxon. And I know the best way to prove that. Marlowe, pick that thing up and toss it against the wall.
No, don't. I tell you there's nothing in it.
Toss it, Marlowe. Go on.
Okay, Peel.
Now we'll see who's right about the plates being hit.
Nothing, huh, Peel?
No. Nothing. All right, Saxon, get up. I want to know what the plates are, so I'm going to count to 3. That's how long you have to live if you don't tell me.
No. Peel, believe me, there are no plates.
1, 2.
Hold it, Peel. Wait. Here are the plates. Here. In this jeweled box. Look, right here, under your nose.
Is he out, Marlowe?
Yeah, he's out all right. He took the light with him, too. Is there another lamp in here?
No, there isn't. Nor is there another gun.
Why, you stinking little... Wait a minute, those sirens, Saxon, they're heading this way.
Police?
Yeah, the police. Looks like sooner or later everybody gets together in the back room at Saxon's,
But not everybody stays here, so I'll take this wrapping paper and leave now.
Wrapping paper? The stuff that was around the orange dog?
Yes, a sample of the best grade of counterfeiting paper made, Marlowe. And that's what Horner was supposed to buy, not plates, those he got a month ago.
Still makes you a crook, Saxon, and one who'll never get past the front door.
Oh, no, we'll see about that. Marlowe!
Keep shooting, Saxon, in the dark. You got 4 shots left.
You filthy meddler!
Only 1 now, Saxon. That's number 6. You're through, Saxon. By the time Ibarra and his boys, plus a half a dozen very anxious T-men, got into the room, Saxon was already coming apart at the seams. But after a half hour of steady questioning, he split wide open and led us all to a basement hideout where the T-men went wild over a few thousand sheets of A1 counterfeiting paper. But an hour later, after Peel, who admitted murdering Lou Horner, and Saxon, who was ready for the nearest straitjacket, were both in the lockup, there was still the problem of the glib lass from San Francisco. But finally, when Shelley, Lieutenant Ibarra, and I stood under the green light of the globe in front of police headquarters, I knew that the girl who technically was only guilty of withholding information from the police was not going to spend any time in the pokey. Because, after all, I was more or less guilty of the same thing. Besides, Lieutenant Ibarra was still interested in the others.
Well, Marlowe, it looks like the whole business actually boils down to a single transaction between Clay Saxon, who had the counterfeiting paper, and Lou Horner, who was supposed to buy it.
That's right, Ibarra. But Horner, who must have made his contact with Saxon via some middleman in San Francisco, only had a telephone number and the password, the orange dog of foe, to work on here in L.A.
But how do you get hold of that number, Phil?
From the message the T-Man left before he died.
You mean you actually called someone named Marion?
No, honey, I just dialed Marion. M.A. Madison. R-I-O-N 7466. Madison 7466. You get it?
Yeah. Another one of Horner's screwy memory tricks. Like the rubber band on his 10th finger.
Hey, that's pretty good, Phil.
Ah, it's an old gimmick, really. I read it in a dozen detective stories.
What do you know? Maybe I ought to read some of those. Well, good night, Philip. Look for you tomorrow.
Good night, Lieutenant. Well, Shelley, do I show you the way home?
No, Marla. Aren't you hungry or thirsty or something?
Yeah, guess I am at that.
Well, I know just the place for us, darling.
Oh?
It's a cute little place right smack in the middle of Chinatown.
Well, we got through a small Chinese dinner without seeing or hearing from a single orange dog. And when it came time to leave, I was thinking that Shelley wasn't really too bad a kid at that. So when she left the table to powder her nose, I started to make plans. But when she got back, I forgot about them because in the meantime, she'd run into an old friend. Yeah, a rich old friend who was all alone in the big city. I said I didn't mind taking a rain check when she explained that he was from Kansas City and a broker at that. He certainly was overweight. Too much steak and potatoes. Steak and potatoes. Wonder if Lindy's is still open.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, created by Raymond Chandler, stars Gerald Moore, and is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Dinelli, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Francis Robinson, Edgar Barrier, Tony Barrett, Lou Krugman, and Ed Begley. Lieutenant Detective Ibarra is played by Jeff Corey. The special music was by Richard Orant. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
I was hired to find a blackmailer, and I did. But first I found a badly beaten Adonis, a Jezebel with an accent, and a man who had been an easy mark for murder.
"90 minutes of unsurpassed comedy comes to you every Sunday night when CBS brings you The Spike Jones Show, The Jack Benny Show, and Amos and Andy in succession. Tomorrow night, pianist Alec Templeton and songstress Peggy Mann are Spike Jones' special guests. Jack Benny and his gang, and Amos and Andy, following in succession, will bring you more of the laughs that make them first for Sunday night fun. Spike Jones and Amos and Andy come to you over most of these same CBS network stations, and Jack Benny comes to you over them all. Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking for CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. More classic old-time radio coming your way next.
I was hired to find a blackmailer, and I did. But first I found a badly beaten Adonis, a Jezebel with an accent, and a man who had been an easy mark for murder.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character as CBS presents The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. And now, with Gerald Moore starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Easy Mark.
I'd spent a dull day on a duller subject, which was don't get caught with your income tax return down at midnight, March 15th. After calling time for a thick steak designated to bolster the stamina of a private detective, but nevertheless non-deductible,
I reluctantly headed back to my office where I found both my conscience and the long form 1040 still waiting, which meant there was no way out. The dull day was going to stretch on into the night. But then I got a break. Because my telephone rang and the call was from one Mrs. Corey Gilbert, a prospective client who wanted action in a hurry.
Marlowe, you've got to move fast. I just found out that my husband Ross will be at 3806 Melrose Avenue in 20 minutes, and I know that means trouble.
Well, just for size, Mrs. Gilbert, how do you spell trouble?
With a capital B as in blackmail. There's no time for details now. Just get to that address and find out who Ross is meeting with. Only hurry, Marlowe, please.
Well, hurry after what, Mrs. Gilbert? I've never met your husband, remember?
Oh, yes. Well, he's tall, dark eyes, dark hair, very handsome.
And the blackmailer, short, stocky, and repulsive, I suppose.
I've never seen the blackmailer.
All right, Mrs. Gilbert, where can I reach you?
Well, I live at 439.5 Ogden Drive. The phone number is Gladstone 8195.
8195. All right, Mrs. Gilbert, I'll call you.
Thanks. Oh, and Marlowe.
Yeah?
Hurry, will you? You see, I love my husband.
I was a little more than 20 minutes finding the address on Melrose. But when I finally pulled up and parked away from the place, I figured being late didn't matter because number 3806 turned out to be an unfinished house set deep in an acre of building materials. I was about to head for a telephone and get an explanation from a confused lady named Corey Gilbert when a lot of noise from what would someday be a living room changed my mind. Then I knew that my client had the right address after all, because there in the pale light of a slice of moon, taking the last of an awful beating from a thin man with a thick beard and a lot of muscle, was Ross Gilbert. Dark eyes and dark hair, like she said, but no longer very handsome.
Don't hit me again. Stop worrying, Gilbert. I'm almost through with you except for this. A present from Nanette. And just one more from Nanette.
That last punch stacked Ross Gilbert onto a pile of rough lumber like he was another 1x12. And as he slowly scraped to the floor unconscious, thick beard dusted himself off lightly, jerked at his tie, and stepped out of the opening reserved for a future front door. I started over to help Ross Gilbert, but then I remembered that my client wanted to know who her husband was meeting and why, not how hard or fast he could swing. So I decided for the time being to play it quiet. When Thickbeard got into his car, I got into mine. I followed him all the way to Beverly Hills, where he pulled to a stop in front of the Camden Arms Court. I parked, lights out, and watched him strut up a flagstone walk and knock on the door of a bungalow, number 4, which was dark. When he knocked again and it stayed dark, he took an envelope out of his pocket, wrote something on it, and jammed it into the mailbox. Then he got back into his car and started away fast. I walked up to the bungalow and helped myself to Thickbeard's empty envelope. On one side, scrawled in pencil and smudged, was the telephone number Sunset 31676. On the other, payment delivered okay, Plummer. Plummer, huh? I shoved the message into my pocket, struck a match, and started looking for a name on the front door. But then a cab pulled up, and a moment later I had help.
I can be of some assistance, perhaps?
Yes, I was just... Oh. Nanette?
Oui. Nanette Lamarck. But I do not know you, monsieur.
No, you don't.
I think if you will stop staring and begin talking, we will do much better. Who are you?
Philip Marlowe. A friend of Plummer's. He asked me to deliver a message for him. Do I go on?
Of course, Mr. Marlowe. But please come inside. It is so much nicer there.
Nanette was so right about it being nicer inside. There were lights. And that made it easier to see that the lady with the thick French accent and the gorgeous waistline was something that could have mustered her own foreign legion. She was narrow green eyes and open red lips, topped by a lot of close-cropped soft brown curls that kept running into each other. And for a dress, she was wearing about 1/4 mile of draped chiffon that, in the right places, fitted a little closer than her own skin. When I told her what I claimed had been a message from Plummer himself, she purred her thanks and started to mix me a drink. When I brought up the subject of blackmail, she stopped abruptly, spilling a bottle of perfectly good Kentucky Tavern all over the table.
Blackmail? What do you mean, Marlowe?
Extortion, honey. A malpractice of getting a lot for knowing a little that's not nice.
You're swinging wild now, mon cher.
Maybe. But if it doesn't bother you, I'll stay right with it. Because I'd like to know why you and Plummer, who have such an easy mark, insist on throwing rocks.
What easy mark are you talking about?
A tall, dark, and used to be handsome guy named Ross Gilbert.
Ross. Soda, Marlowe?
Yeah. But don't make it too sweet, honey. I can't take it that way.
Nanette will be very careful not to make it too sweet. There. Tell me, mon cher, when did you last see Plummer? Before tonight, I mean.
I'm not sure. I think it was at the fights over at the Legion Stadium last week. How do I get my drink?
Oui, mon cher. You will get your drink in your face, liar.
Tell me, Frenchie. Is that pearl handle 32 considered the very latest along the Champs-Élysées?
You have lied to me, mon ami. You see, Plummer only arrived in Los Angeles the day before yesterday, for the first time in his life.
All right, I made a mistake about seeing Plummer at the fights last week. Now, why don't you put away the gun and we'll talk about Ross Gilbert?
Ross Gilbert is a man I hate with all my heart. A man I could kill right this minute. And that, Marlowe, goes for anyone connected with him. So now get out.
Oh, without even so much as an au revoir?
I reserve au revoir for my friends, Marlowe. Good night.
Hello?
Marlowe, Mrs. Gilbert, is Ross all right?
Ross isn't here, Marlowe. What happened to him?
He ran into an ugly beating at that address on Melrose. Something nasty from out of town named Plummer is responsible. Ever hear of him and/or an imported Jezebel called Nanette Lamarck?
No, I haven't. But what about Ross? What's wrong with him?
Nothing that a pound of beefsteak and enough liniment can't cure. But before we worry about Ross, Mrs. Gilbert, one more thing. It's a phone number I found on the back of an envelope that belonged to Plummer. Number is Sunset 31676.
What?
Somebody you know?
Yes, someone I know very well. It's the telephone number of my ex-husband, Emery Marsh.
Emery Marsh, huh? Fancy dress designer on Wilshire?
That's right. But what's he got to do with all this? Emery only met Ross once in Mexico, a party at Ensenada.
Yeah, well, look, Mrs. Gilbert, why don't we postpone collecting Ross until I find out a little more? Where does your ex-husband Marsh live?
In Santa Monica. But there's a good chance that he's still at his place on Wilshire. He does most of his work at night.
Well, then Wilshire Boulevard's my next stop. I'll try to make it a quick one. Goodbye. Emery Marsh's place on Wilshire was an expensive shop with a single velvet-lined show window that was home for a beautiful mannequin wearing an evening gown that would drop at the first sneeze. And after I spent 5 minutes thumping on a plush, leather-upholstered portal, a light finally clicked on someplace inside. And a moment later, Emery Marsh opened the door. He was tall, 45, sandy-haired, and looked less like a dress designer than I did. So after following his tweet back into an inner sanctum that was combed plywood behind Chinese modern furniture, I decided to play it almost straight.
Now, Mr. Marlowe, what can I do for you?
Well, it's a little too early to tell. I'm a private detective, Mr. Marsh, and I'm working for your ex-wife, Corey Gilbert.
Corey?
Mm-hmm.
Is she in trouble, Mr. Marlowe?
No, close to it. Tell me, Mr. Marsh, when you were last over to Nanette Lamarck's place at Camden Arms, when was that?
Nanette Lamarck?
Yeah.
I've never heard of her.
Nor a man named Plummer?
Nor a man named Plummer. Who are they?
Well, in the order I tossed them out, a mademoiselle with a touchy temper and a thug who needs a shave.
I don't understand. How do they concern me?
Well, maybe they don't. But your telephone number turned up on Plummer. Both Plummer and Nanette are tied on to a man who at this moment is probably picking himself up off the floor of an unfinished house at 3806 Melrose Avenue. His name, Mr. Marsh, is Ross Gilbert.
Gilbert?
Yes, that's right. What do you know about him?
Well, very little. I only met him once at the Riviera Pacifico.
Riviera Pacifico?
The hotel at Ensenada in Mexico. Matter of fact, it was the same night that he met Corey.
Which didn't make you very happy, huh?
No, you've got it wrong. Corey and I were already divorced. The three of us meeting was nothing more than an accident.
Oh. And when Ross and Corey parlayed that accident into marriage, were you still smiling?
Better than that, Mr. Marlowe. When that happened a month ago, I was grinning. You see, until then, I had been paying Corey $1,200 a month alimony for 2.5 years.
And Corey gave all that up for love and Ross Gilbert, huh?
Ross Gilbert isn't exactly a pauper, Mr. Marlowe.
No, I guess not. Blackmailing a pauper doesn't add up.
What did you say, Mr. Marlowe?
I said putting the bite on somebody who has nothing is like sucking a lollipop with a cellophane on it. You get action but no results, you see?
Oh.
Now tell me, why does the word blackmail come home to roost, Mr. Marsh? You wouldn't happen to know who the guilty party is, would you?
No, Mr. Marlowe. And what's more, if I did, I certainly wouldn't keep that sort of thing to myself.
Oh, no, I don't think you would. Well, thanks anyway, Mr. Marsh. You've been a big help.
I'm glad. And if I can be of any further help, don't hesitate to call on me, Mr. Marlowe. Please.
No, I won't, Mr. Marsh. You can depend on it. All the way from Wilshire Boulevard to Mrs. Gilbert's place on Ogden Drive, I kept wondering who wanted how much out of Ross Gilbert and why. About 20 minutes later, when I pulled up in front of the house, I started concentrating on my client, who had to be the woman standing next to a green coupe in the driveway and waiting in double time. Corey Gilbert was long, flowing blonde hair draped over shoulders that at the moment looked like they were carrying the weight of the world. But she was prettier worried than most women who always keep it gay.
Mr. Marlowe?
Yeah, Mrs. Gilbert?
Yes.
Your husband shown up yet?
No. Marlowe, what do you suppose has
Take it
happened?
easy. Maybe we better have another look at 3806 Melrose Avenue, huh?
Whatever you say. Shall I drive?
If you've got a license.
Yes, Mr. Marlowe. I've got a license.
Well, okay, let's go. The way we took off in Corey's Nash, I wasn't sure whether her license was for driving a car or an airplane. And while she kept at 83.5 AAA on the accelerator, she talked about her husband and why she was worried. By the time we were near the place, I knew all about the party in Ensenada, their whirlwind courtship, and what a fine guy Ross Gilbert was. When we got out of the car and started over the last 100 yards toward the unfinished house, I'd learned everything Corey knew about the blackmail angle, which wasn't very much.
It started last week, Marlowe, when we got back from our honeymoon. Ross wasn't himself at all. He was worried. He forgot how to laugh. He argued with me over any and everything.
Where does the blackmail come in?
I don't know. He wouldn't tell me what was wrong. Then this evening, just before I called you, I overheard him talking on the telephone. That's when I caught the word blackmail and this address.
Now, maybe Ross will be able to fill in a few of the blanks for us. Oh, he was over here in this room on a pile of lumber when I... Plumber must have done a lot more damage than I figured.
Ross!
Take it easy, baby.
Marlowe, what is it? Is he...
I'm afraid he is, Corey.
That man! He beat him to death!
No, Corey, that round hole in Gilbert's chest wasn't made by a fist. From where I stand, it looks like a .32 caliber bullet.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. But first, for some new wrinkles in the mystery field, look on the face of Mr. Jack Benny, eminent producer of the mystery comedy The Lucky Stiff, which opened in New York today. Although Mr. Benny's stars are Dorothy Lamour, Claire Trevor, and Brian Donlevy, Jack's face is covered with new wrinkles, because he couldn't be in New York to sell the tickets himself. He's remaining in Hollywood to appear tomorrow night on CBS on The Jack Benny Show with Mary Livingston, Don Wilson, Dennis Day, Phil Harris, and Rochester. So be sure to listen. And now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Easy Mark.
Corey Gilbert's face went sickly white, and her mouth twisted on the brink of hysteria as she stared at the dead man. I turned her away from it and led her to a window. She did the fastest job of pulling herself together I'd ever seen. Then I went back to the body. On the way, I noticed a folded scrap of paper on the floor. It was a page torn out of a desk diary, but all that was written on it was the address of the unfinished house we were in. I looked down at what had once been Ross Gilbert. Setup didn't make any sense. A victim of blackmail had been beaten up by a total stranger, and then, a little while later, murdered. Somebody had killed the goose that was laying the golden eggs, and it didn't figure in any direction. Well, I just about decided to go through his pockets when a sound from Corey changed my mind.
Marlowe, come here, quick.
What is it, Corey?
There's someone out there. I saw a shadow move.
Get away from the window.
Marlowe, there, running.
Yeah. And quite a woman. What do you know?
She's crossing the street now. Who is it, Marlowe? Who is she?
Character as French as Milani's 1890. Only she's more like nitric acid than salad dressing, Corey. Her name is Nanette Lamarck.
She's getting in that car. Aren't you going to stop her?
I've got a line on Miss Lamarck. I can find her.
But she was hiding here. She could be the one who shot Ross, couldn't she?
Easily. In fact, right now, she's the odds-on favorite. But she's also cagey, and we'll have better luck if we get her on home ground where she'll talk. Besides, there's a big chunk of this business that doesn't follow.
What do you mean?
Well, look, the murder came out in reverse. Ross was paying off. So he should have been the killer instead of the corpse. Which means there's more than blackmail involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is he's dead, and that woman killed him.
Maybe. Come on, Corey, let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Well, first you take me back to my car, and then I got a job for you to do.
What kind of a job?
Well, I found this page ripped out of a desk diary, probably Ross's. I want you to go through all his things and find that diary for me. There might be something else in it that'll give us a connection.
All right. Where are you going?
I'm going to pay a call on Nanette. Only this time I'm bringing my own welcome mat. I think I'll need it. After Corey dropped me off, I called Lieutenant Ibarra at Homicide, reported the body, and then I got into my own car and drove out to Beverly Hills again, to the Camden Arms Court. Nanette's bungalow had lights on. I parked down the street and made tracks back through the landscaping to a side window. Nanette was playing pin-up girl on the arm of a divan, and she watched someone pace back and forth across the room. When I got close enough to hear what was being said, that someone turned out to be Corey Gilbert's first husband, Emery Marsh.
Like chickens with their heads off. So Ross Gilbert was shot to death. But I've got to know the truth about one thing, Miss Lamarck. My entire life's work is at stake. Can't you understand?
All right, Monsieur Marsh. Do not break out into tears, I will tell you. Plummer is merely a private investigator I hired to locate Ross Gilbert for me. Now, are you happy?
No. Why did such a person have my telephone number? That's what I want to know. I'll be ruined if I'm involved in this mess. My reputation means everything to my business, and, well, things aren't going too well just now. If I'm connected with a scandal, I'll be wiped out.
Well, stop worrying. I saw you with Ross Gilbert 3 or 4 times before he disappeared. So I gave your name to Plummer as a possible lead to Ross. That is all.
Why did you want to find Ross Gilbert?
That, mon ami, is none of your business. You found out what you wanted, so good night.
All right. I'll go. But can I count on you to keep my name out of this?
Listen, I am counting on me to keep my own name out of it. And I will be very busy doing that. Good night.
I plastered myself up against the side of the house and watched Emery Marsh leave. He looked anything but happy over the result of his interview with Nanette, but I figured I had the benefit of experience to work with and less to lose than he had. So I waited until he was out of sight, and then I stepped up to the door, braced myself, and tried my luck.
You again.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you.
Get your foot out of my door. Oh, get out of here. Get out.
Not until we've had a nice, quiet chat, Nanette, and I think we'll take up where Emery Marsh left off.
What? Look, just who exactly are you, Marlowe?
Your boy Plummer and I are distant fraternity brothers, but there the similarity ends.
Just another chief private detective.
Oh! Okay, baby, if that tough stuff's the only language you understand, we'll talk that.
Don't stop it. Leave me alone.
Now get over there. Sit down.
Oh, you ape.
I'd be nice to me if I were you, Nanette. Because I just love to see a rope around that lovely neck of yours. And what's more, I can almost put one there. You're in a mess right up to your accent. So start making answers beautiful and keep them straight. First, why did you put Plummer on Ross Gilbert's trail?
Because he double-crossed me, that is why.
Double-crossed you how?
He ran away from me. He was mine, all bought and paid for, you understand?
Not exactly.
When I met him, he was flat broke. I bought him every decent stitch of clothes that he had. Gave him everything he needed to be a gentleman because we were going to be married. And then he ran out on me and took everything with him that he could lay his hands on.
Go on.
Nobody does that to Nanette Lamarck. Nobody.
So you hired that licensed thug Plummer to find him and beat him half to death, right?
Exactly.
Well, go ahead, baby. The story doesn't end there. Tell me the rest, the good part. About how you waited until Plummer got through with him, and then you went down to that unfinished blueprint out of House and Gardens and killed him.
No, that is not true. I did not do that. Why, I could not.
It's no bigger lie than the rest of it. Where's that pearl handle 32 of yours, Nanette? And don't reach for it. Just tell me.
What do you want with
I
me?
want to see if it's been fired. Now, where is it?
Call it, Jack.
Oh, fine.
Plummer.
Miss Lamarck might not like for you to see her gun.
Oh, I thought you would never get here.
Who's this character, Miss Lamarck?
Another private detective. Marlowe by name.
No kidding. Well, we got a lot in common, haven't we, Jack?
Yes, we've each got 2 arms and 2 legs, and the name is Phil.
Oh, that's the way it is, huh? Well, listen, Jack, you got no business here in the first place. For 2 cents, I'll chop you down.
You're even cheaper than I figured.
Why,
and you
you
can put
big-
away that big, nasty gun, too, because I got you cold. That envelope you stuck in Nanette's mailbox tonight had a slip of paper inside from one of your old clients.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Can't you guess? Hey, you want to see it?
Well, yeah, let's have a look at that.
Okay. Take a good look. Come on, drop the gun, Plumber. Come on, drop it. My arm! All right, now, fold up. There's your bargain basement detective. Nanette, you didn't get your money's worth, did you? Now, shall we take a look at that pearl-handled gun of yours?
It is over there in my bag.
Thanks. Clip's full, and that smell sure isn't gunpowder.
Of course not. I did not kill Ross. Why, I was not even inside of that building where he was.
Yeah, I know, but you... Wait a minute, say that again.
I said I was never inside that unfinished house where he was found. When I drove up, you were already there, so I left.
Yeah, I know. And Plummer's gun is... fully loaded. Hasn't been fired either. Baby, you've just given me a great idea.
An idea? But I do not understand.
Never mind, I'll explain it to you later. And incidentally, you better be around. Right now, I've got to find out one more thing, and then maybe I'll pop this whole shebang wide open.
Mr. Marlowe.
Good evening, Mr. Marsh. Lucky to find you still working, huh?
Late hours are a habit with me these days. Come in.
Thanks. Mr. Marsh, I've come back for that help you offered me earlier this evening.
I see. Well, the offer's still good.
Fine. I think your ex-wife, Corey, is lying to me. She claims you didn't know Ross Gilbert, that you only met him once at that party in Ensenada, but you did know him, didn't you?
Why, yes. As a matter of fact, I did get acquainted with Ross slightly. We had dinner together a few times.
Uh-huh. And you really did favor his marriage to Corey because it freed you automatically from that alimony load you were carrying.
That's correct, Marlowe, but I don't
And it's also correct, isn't it, that you couldn't afford to go to court to have your alimony reduced because that would let your snobbish clientele know you were going on the rocks.
Yes, that's also true.
And maybe it's true that you actually engineered the marriage and it backfired on you.
Very smart, Mr. Marlowe. Just keep your hands at your side. This might go off.
Yes. Well, I expected a reaction, but not quite so soon.
Too bad. I'll trouble you for your gun, now that you've got it all figured out. Yes, Marlowe, I engineered that marriage. Corey was attracted to Gilbert, but he was broke. I knew that would scare Corey off if she found out.
So you and Corey made a deal, particularly with Ross. He wanted to marry Corey, you supplied the cash for his courtship, right?
Yes, only he wouldn't stop there. He kept demanding more.
Sure, it figured from the start. Ross wasn't being blackmailed, he was the blackmailer himself, and that made you worse off than before, so you killed him.
You're so right, Mr. Marlowe. And remember, the price for 2 murders is the same as for 1. So you've really left me no alternative.
I'll give you an alternative, Emery.
Corey!
One thing you didn't count on. I really loved Ross Gilbert.
Well, I guess that winds it up, Corey. Emery's in the hospital, and Nanette and Plummer are both in the clink.
Too bad I only hit Emery in the hand. I never could trust my aim. It's always been bad, in a lot of ways.
It was good enough tonight, baby. Lucky for me you showed up when you did. Say, what made you come to Marsh's place, anyway?
Well, that page from the desk diary paid off, Marlowe. Only we made a mistake.
Oh?
It didn't come from Ross's diary. It came from Emery's. I finally remembered his handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you tell me something, Marlowe.
Yeah?
How did you know Emery was guilty?
Oh. Well, he made the oldest slip in the book. When he was talking to Nanette, I overheard him say that Ross had been shot. Emery had no way of knowing that Gilbert was dead or how he'd been killed unless Nanette told him. And for a while I thought she had, but then I found out that she couldn't have because she'd never been inside the house where we found Ross.
So it had to be Emery.
Sure.
I see. Well, Marlowe, what does a gal say at the end of a night like this? Thanks or something?
Just thanks will be enough. I got to do my income tax. Can I give you a lift?
No, I'll walk a while. I've got some thinking to do about marksmanship. But Call me sometime later on, will you? Just to see if I'm shooting in the right direction.
You can count on it, Corey.
Thanks. Good night, Phil.
I watched her for a moment as she walked down the street all by herself, deep in her own thoughts, and it looked to me like she was playing it strictly square. I almost wanted to follow her. The first time in a long time, I felt like I wanted to get to know a client better. But March 15th can slip up awfully fast, and that long Form 1040 was still unfinished and waiting for me in my office. So I decided to go back and work on my income tax and play it strictly square, too. After all, that's really the easiest way in the long run. Yeah, I keep telling myself.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, created by Raymond Chandler, stars Gerald Moore, and is produced by Norman MacDonald. The script by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt was directed by Ralph Rose. Featured in the cast were Sylvia Sims, Laurette Philbrandt, Ken Harvey, and Paul Duboff. The special music was by Richard O'Runt. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
There was a man with a bad heart, a telephone number scribbled on a cash register receipt, and a corpse on the other side of town. But I couldn't see the connection between them until I realized they were all tied together by the same long rope, worth $30,000.
Next Wednesday evening, February 2nd, CBS will bring you a moving, powerful drama of a reporter who took an assignment he eagerly sought, only to find it came too close to home. Its title is Mind in the Shadow. Its star is Eddie Albert, and its story tells how the reporter set out to reveal the shocking facts about our mental hospitals, and then learned that his lovely young wife might have to enter one. Based on actual documentary evidence of conditions existing today, you'll find Mind in the Shadow, a revealing story of something which could happen to you. Hear Mind in the Shadow, starring Eddie Albert, next Wednesday evening, over most of these same CBS network stations. Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking for CBS, Jack Benny's new address, Sunday night on CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Our next broadcast was a radio series that was loosely based on a private detective character created by writer Dashiell Hammett for the Maltese Falcon. The show ran for 13 episodes on ABC in 1946, for 157 episodes on CBS from 1946 to 1947, and finally for 51 more episodes on NBC from 1949 to 1951. The series starred Howard Duff as the titular character and Lauren Tuttle as his secretary Effie. We proudly present to you The Adventures of Sam Spade on HOJO Radio.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective, brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic, the non-alcoholic hair tonic that contains lanolin. Wild Root Cream Oil, again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first.
Sam Spade Detective Agency.
Are you still there?
I believe that interpolation is hardly rhetorical, Mr. Spade. To what have you been up, if you'll pardon the expression? And has that girl regained her facilities?
I wouldn't know, but her faculties are as good as ever, if you'll pardon the expression.
Mr. Spade, sometimes I think you're a regular philanthropist.
Don't you mean philanderer?
How much money did you make out of that case?
Well, I broke even anyway.
That's what I mean. You're a philanthropist.
Well, you know best, Bernadine.
By the way, was that man really murdered with the buzzsaw, or was that just publicity?
He really was, Bernadine.
Why?
There just happened to be one lying around.
Oh, I don't mean that. Why was he killed?
For the Wheel of Life.
Oh.
You're not going to ask what that is?
Some curio, no doubt.
Listen, Bernadine, the Wheel of Life is, oh, well. I suppose I don't have to tell you to stay where you are. Just sit quietly with your book in your hand, and I'll be right down to dictate my report on the Wheel of Life caper.
Dashiell Hammett, America's leading detective fiction writer and creator of Sam Spade, the hard-boiled private eye, and William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, join their talents to make your hair stand on end with the adventures of Sam Spade. Presented by the makers of Wild Root Cream Oil for the hair. Come on, mister, give the gals a break. Treat 'em to a look-see at a really handsome head of hair. Neat, well-groomed hair, the way yours is going to look when you spruce up with Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Famous Wild Root Cream Oil grooms your hair neatly and naturally, relieves annoying dryness, removes loose, ugly dandruff. So, how about it, men? Why hold off any longer when now's the time to get Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic? Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first. And now, with Howard Duff starring as Spade, Wild Root brings to the air the greatest private detective of them all in the adventures of Sam Spade.
I went down to St. James Infirmary to see my baby there. Ready, Bernadine, little flower?
I'm way ahead of you.
Keep it clean.
No more than 3 erasures per page. Okie dokie?
Doke. I mean date.
Oh, I'd love to.
July 11, 1948. To Detective Lieutenant Dundee, Homicide Detail, San Francisco Police. Subject, the Wheel of Life caper. Now, don't go away, Bernadine. I don't know why these things always have to happen to me. Under private detectives in the San Francisco Classified Directory, they're listed somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 agencies, several with large display ads. But somehow she managed to find me.
It's all so strange, Mr. Spade. I hardly know where to begin.
Well, the beginning is always a pretty good place to start, Miss O'Farrell.
Yes, the beginning. It was like waking out of a nightmare you can't remember. Everything seemed out of proportion. Even the buildings along the street seemed to be leaning at a crazy angle. And then I realized I was traveling down a hill. I looked wildly around for something to help me get my bearings, and there was a street sign, O'Farrell. It stuck in my mind, so I gave it to your secretary when she asked for my name.
Uh-huh. What's your real name?
I don't know. I don't know who I am, where I came from, or where I'm going. Mr. Spade, I'm so frightened.
Now, wait a minute. A lot of people suffer from temporary loss of memory. Most of them recover. But amnesia is a sickness, and I am not a doctor.
Oh, and you won't even try to help me?
Well, I can give you the name of a good head doctor right here in the building. There's also missing persons.
Oh, but I'm not a missing person. I'm right here.
Yeah, I mean, where you aren't, somebody might be missing you, n'est-ce pas?
But the police... Oh, I'd rather not. I might be wanted for some crime. How do I know?
You sure you want to find out?
Oh, yes, I do. It's terrible not knowing. But I want to find out for myself. Can't you understand that?
What do you think I can do for you?
You might save my life.
From what?
I'll try to tell you exactly how it happened. First, I looked at my watch. It was 3 minutes past 10. The cable car stopped at the corner and a man got on. I couldn't remember ever having seen him before, but then I couldn't remember anything. He sat down beside me and he caught hold of my arm. I tried to pull away. Well, you can see the marks where he...
Yeah.
Well, who was he? He acted as if I were...
I think I know what you mean. Did you find out who he was?
No, I was too frightened to speak.
What did he say?
He sort of growled it out of the side of his mouth, but it sounded as if he said, Lathrop wants to see you.
Mm-hmm. You remember anybody named Lathrop?
I can't remember anything before 3 minutes past 10 this morning.
Well, let's go on with since then. The guy grabbed you, said somebody named Lathrop wanted to see you, and then what?
I went into a panic. I managed to jerk away from him, and I jumped off the moving car, and then I looked in the classified section, and I found you.
Why me?
I don't know. The name, I guess. A spade to dig up my past.
Please, Miss O'Farrell.
Do you think I'm very silly?
No, I think you're very beautiful. I wish you could remember whether you're married or not.
Oh, no. Well, at least I have no wedding ring.
What have you got? I mean, besides what's visible.
Well, I couldn't find much of anything. I went over my clothing. There don't seem to be any marks of any kind.
Oh. Well, you got any money?
Well, a little over $300.
Let's have it. The purse, too.
All right.
Lipstick, aspirin, bobby pins, Kleenex. Nothing here that couldn't have been bought in any drugstore. Powder. Hey, what kind of powder is this?
Then there was this in my coat pocket.
A match folder. Sailor's Rest Bar, Hotel Calcutta, 1100 Embarcadero. Little number written inside. 120. What's that, a room number?
I don't know. My purse, you have to destroy it.
Here's $10 of your own money. Buy a new one. Wow.
Did you find something?
Coin, Chinese bit. Good luck piece, probably sewn in by whoever made it, maybe in China. That ring any bells?
No. No, I'm afraid not.
Shoe.
What?
Your right shoe. Let's see it. Take it off.
You aren't going to tear it up the way you did the purse, are you?
Dust. Plaster dust.
Is that a clue?
I don't know, is it?
I'm not a detective.
Well, you are in this case, baby. If it doesn't mean anything to you, it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, it doesn't. That's everything. What am I going to do?
Well, let me see. First, we better give you a name. Oh, Farrell's all right. You look like, Lana would do, but, no, that's in use. How about Poppy for forgetfulness?
Poppy O'Farrell. That's a funny name.
Oh, you think so? Huh?
I think I like it.
You do?
I think I like you, too.
I liked her, too. There may have been blanks in her brain, but the rest of it figured. In the elevator, I started adding it up, and by the time we reached the street floor, it came to quite a tidy sum.
Where are we going, Sam?
Far, I hope. But first, we're going to find you a place to stay.
Oh, yes, we must be practical.
No use overdoing it, huh?
Oh, no, Sam, I didn't mean... Wait,
What's the matter? You remember something?
that man, the one who followed me this morning, he's standing right out there waiting.
The one in the straw hat leaning against the newsstand?
Yes. Where are you going, Sam?
You stay here. I just remembered something I hoped I could forget. Hello, Shuggy. What brings you back to town?
Do I know you?
That doesn't matter. I know you. The name you were using when you blew this town was Shuggy Bellows. You wouldn't take the risk of showing your face here again unless the caper was worth it.
You got a big nose. Keep it clean.
You've been tailing that girl all day. Why?
Dame? What dame?
Who's Lathrop?
I don't remember.
Okay, I'll give you a chance to think it over. Hey, officer!
You dirty shamus yelling
No, no, you don't. Come here.
What's going on here? Break it up. Oh, Mr. Spade. Is this fella giving you trouble now?
Yeah, what kind of a beat are you pounding here, Clancy, letting a cheap grifter like this walk around with an armpit full of gun? Or are they handing out permits to characters like these these days?
Well, now, how about that, son? Have you a permit now?
And a goop copper.
Oh, so one of them clever lads he is. Well, come along, me bucko, before I lose my temper and give you your lumps now.
Stout fellow. I'm coming.
That's better now. Much obliged, Mr. Spade.
I'll pay you for this, shamus.
And a goop to you, too. I was sure he would, but I was also sure that I wouldn't have to worry about him for the rest of the night. I checked Poppy O'Farrell in at the Belvedere, locked her in her room, and told Tiny Stover, the house dick, to keep an eye on her. When I left him, he was, and he seemed to be enjoying his work. Then I headed for the Embarcadero. I found the Hotel Calcutta, but I couldn't find the lobby. There wasn't any. It had been squeezed out by the Sailor's Rest Bar. So I tried the bosun-type bartender.
Howdy, mate. You got business aboard?
Yeah, where do I find the purser?
Hey, went ashore. All the officers went ashore except the janitor. He's passed out in his bunk.
Oh? How about the passengers?
You're in the thick of them right now. They spend most of their time and their money right here.
Which one belongs to 120?
You a dick?
Yeah, but I got $10.
Well, what I can tell you ain't worth it, but thanks anyway. He stayed in his cabin. I only saw him at once. That's when he went ashore. I says to the deck steward, that's room clerk to you, who's a general. He says, name of Korolenko. I noticed him because he was a real creep, see? 6'4", a solid brass. His head stuck up in the air, and he didn't move nothing from his stern to his shoulders. A real Frankenstein. Do I keep it 10?
Yeah. Do I get a look at his room?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Who's stopping you?
So I went. Nobody stopped me until I opened the door to 120. Then I stopped myself. It was an inside room with one small window and an air shaft, but it looked as if a flurry of snow had blown in. floor and the rest of the flat surfaces were sprinkled with a fine, dirty white powder. It wasn't snow, it was dust, plaster dust, like the stuff I'd found in Poppy's handbag and on her shoes. I shook the place down, not expecting to find anything. I didn't until I opened the wardrobe. It was the body of a well-dressed ship surgeon, but his uniform was rumpled, torn, and bloodstained. From the look of him, his throat had been cut. I wondered if Poppy would be able to jog her memory that far back. When I found the murder weapon, I hoped she couldn't. I really did. It was not a knife. It was not even a razor. It was an electric buzzsaw. That tore it.
The makers of Wild Root Cream Oil are presenting the weekly Sunday adventure of Dashiell Hammett's famous private detective, Sam Spade. If you want the well-groomed look that helps you get ahead socially and on the job, listen. Recently, thousands of people from coast to coast who bought Wild Root Cream Oil for the first time were asked, how does Wild Root Cream Oil compare with the hair tonic you previously used? Better than 4 out of 5 who replied said they preferred Wild Root Cream Oil. And no wonder. Wild Root Cream Oil grooms the hair neatly and naturally, relieves annoying dryness, and removes loose dandruff. What's more, non-alcoholic Wild Root Cream Oil is the only leading hair tonic that contains soothing lanolin. So ask for Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first. By the way, smart girls use Wild Root Cream Oil, too. And mothers say it's grand for training children's hair. And now, back to the Wheel of Life caper. Tonight's adventure with Sam Spade.
Times being what they are, I could use a little publicity. And so could you, Lieutenant Dundee, what with the elections coming up and you with no promotion all these years. This one time, I got it instead of you and wished I hadn't. The morning papers called it the Buzzsaw murder and went on shamelessly from there. Horror killing related by private eye. Stan Slade, ex-Pinkerton man, mum on mystery woman. Elderly sleuth dodges photographers, denies hotel visit, was in bed with Apple and good book, says Peeper. There wasn't a word of truth in it, mainly because nobody could get at the facts. I wasted most of the day down at headquarters trying to find out what name Shuggy Bellows had been booked under. Then I dropped in at the Belvedere. Poppy had checked out. I decided to go back to my office and drink poison. I hardly got the desk drawer open when a sobering influence walked in. It was a Mr. 6'4" of solid brass, the Frankenstein who had been described to me by the bartender as the occupant of room 120.
Excuse me. I am Korlienko. Please, I shall sit down. I am so heavy.
Make yourself at home.
Oh. Mr. Slade.
Slade.
Excuse me. I am so heavy. I am Korlienko.
So you told me. I am really Spade myself.
So, why are she hiding from me?
Who?
That girl, Miss Paget. Her I am paying 1 month in advance, $300 American. Me, she have dessert. I am not rich, only moderately wealthy. But you understand, it's not question from money alone. That ship's doctor, he was most kind to me. He cared to me even after I arrive. Now he are dead for his pains, his dirty trick.
Yeah, I know how you feel. Now, if you'll take it a little easy, I think we'll get farther. You say this girl's name is Paget, and she traveled with you.
From Macau, where she is the Florence Nightingale for Portuguese hospitals, forcing me to employ her, all others being Chinese nuns.
That figures. You sick?
No, only I am so heavy. They are breaking my back in traffic accident, a rickshaw collision.
You're wearing a plastic cast?
Yes, like a turtle. I am closed with my neck sticking out. Look, see? Now it is better as before. The ship's doctor trimmed the rough edges with buzzsaw. Buzz, 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 I can walk. But it's like suit from armor, for which I alive. Look.
looked again where he opened his shirt front, exposing the gray-white shell of plaster that surrounded his trunk from collarbone to hips. In a 6-inch circle over the left side of his chest, I counted 4 bullet gouges. I dug one of the slugs out and examined it. It was .32 caliber. The plastic cast, which was molded to the shape of his body, was no more than an inch thick. I didn't see how it had stopped the slugs, but it had. About then, the parts of Korolenko that were not held rigid in the cast began to tremble violently.
Why are they doing this? Why? To a virtually helpless man. Why, Mr. Spade? Why?
Where did you have that cast put on?
Don't I said Macau?
The Portuguese hospital there?
The same. They are hanging me up with the neck and plastering me. Comes great pain, they put me to sleep from anesthetic. I are waking up in ambulance arriving at shipboard. Why you wish I should tell you my operation? More important things we should be discussing.
I think so, too. I think Miss Paget and her friends had something they wanted to smuggle out of Macau and into San Francisco, and you're it.
Oh, excuse me. I am not comprehensible.
Look, I mean, while you were out with the anesthetic, they planted the goods, whatever they are, in or under your cast.
Oh, that is why I am so heavy. The wheel.
The what?
The wheel. Look, I'll show you.
He hauled a manila envelope out of his overcoat pocket and waved it in my face. I took it over to my desk and fished out the contents. It was a set of X-ray films. 3 of his spine, showing the fractures, 4 of the skull, 3 I couldn't figure out, and 1 of his rib cage, only something new had been added. In silhouette, it looked like the wheel off of a child's wagon.
What is it, this wheel? What to do? 6 months I must remain in this straitjacket. If I remove it, I die. If I keep it on, they kill me to get their smuggled.
Well, you look to me like the luckiest man alive. That wheel, or whatever it is, saved your life by stopping 4 slugs.
But still I shall die. How shall I die? When shall I die? Your best advices, please.
Korolenko, I think you better die right now.
Excuse me?
It's the only safe place for you. The morgue. I called my friend Maxie the morgue man, gave him pitch number 137596. He agreed to play along. An hour later, I stood on the curb, head bowed, hat in hand, as the morgue wagon drove away into the gathering mist.
Stay facing the way,
What do you want, Shuggy?
I want to blast this gun straight through you, and I will if you give me any excuse at all.
You sound like you mean that, Shuggy.
You're getting smart, Shamus. Now get going.
Where to?
Mr. Lathrop wants to see you.
Ah, Shuggy, dear boy, you've not failed me this time. This will be the fabled Mr. Spade, eh? Come in. Ah, sit down, Mr. Spade. We'll talk.
Tell your Gunzel to get that pistol out of my ribs.
Oh, yes, indeed, Sugar. You mustn't overdo it.
And get him out of here. I'm tired and nervous, and my price goes up $1,000 every minute he's in this room. When I get to 10,000, I kill him. Then the price jumps to 100 to take care of me on a murder rap.
I should ought to plug you downstairs.
Come, Sugar, don't be ungracious. You wait in the other room now.
Okay, it's your party. I'll get mine later.
Oh, dear. His bite's much worse than his bark, Mr. Spade.
Don't start boring me so early in the evening. I came here to talk about the wheel.
Oh, so you know about the wheel.
I do better than that. I've got it.
That may well be, but do you know what to do with it?
I got 2 possibilities. I can turn it over to the cops and you with it, or I can sit on it until it hatches.
A quaint conceit, sir. Round and round the little wheel goes, and where it shall stop, nobody knows.
That's where you're wrong. It stops right here. So you better start placing your bets.
Just what do you mean by that, sir?
There's part of it.
What is it?
It's one of the slugs you gunsled through at Korolenko. I got 3 more just like it that I dug out of him before he was carried to the morgue.
Well, an advantage, I'll admit, but hardly worth your while to take advantage of.
Don't be too sure of that.
Just how much do you know about the wheel?
So far, it's been worth 2 human lives to you at the risk of your own. That tells me all I need to know.
Oh, no, not quite. Men have been killed in hold-ups for a few paltry sovereigns, but the wheel is a horse of another color.
Let's not change wheel horses in midstream, Mr. Lathrop.
Yes. You must understand that the wheel has no absolute definitive value. Monetarily speaking, the British Museum might pay close on to £5,000, hot as it is, for the privilege of returning it. Occidentals aren't the puka sahibs that they once were in the Orient. The theft of the wheel, if countenanced by the Western powers, would have most grave consequences. Most grave. Are you attending, sir?
Wake me up when you get to the point.
Well, the point, sir, is this. That little wheel of gold, is the wheel of life, which the Buddha himself is said to have received into his hands from paradise. Now, given such a relic, a few old Buddhist monks can set up a shrine which, even in the most miserable surroundings, can attract enough pilgrims to outgross Radio City, Madison Square Garden, and Miami Beach in season.
To say nothing of Hialeah.
Yes, quite. In short, we propose to act as booking agents for the wheel on a royalty basis with a percentage of the house.
Mm-hmm. Why did you bring it to San Francisco?
But good gad, sir. Were we to bargain in the Orient, we should be hacked to pieces in our beds.
I'll settle for a lump sum and let you do the bargaining.
And your price, sir?
We can talk money later. First, I got to give the cops somebody for the doctor's murder and for Korolenko.
Well, that ought not to be too difficult. When may I expect delivery?
I'll check on it. I went down to St. James Infirmary.
City morgue.
Maxie, Sam Spade.
Yeah, Sammy.
Deal's okay. Send it up. The address is...
Sam, wait.
Yeah?
Sam, he ain't here no more.
What happened?
Somebody claimed him. A girl. Said she's his daughter.
What did he do?
Went on playing dead like you told him to.
Maxie, where did she send him?
Avalon Mortuary, corner of Lynch and Haight.
Okay, by the way...
Yeah, Sammy?
Maxie, put some clean sheets in that morgue wagon, size 16. I may be your next passenger. At the Avalon Mortuary, the night watchman let me in. He said Mr. Korolenko's daughter had brought an overnight bag and was keeping a vigil by his beer in slumber room number 7. I approached on tiptoe. Just as I reached the door, I heard the most terrible sound I've ever heard. It was a buzzsaw biting into plaster. How deep, I didn't like to think. I did the first thing that popped into my head. I grabbed up a lamp from a console, smashed the bulb, and plunged it into a vase of flowers. As luck would have it, slumber room number 7 was on the same fuse box. As luck would not have it, I was facing a desperate woman in the dark. I hugged the carpet while she emptied her gun. I hoped she didn't have a spare. I forgot about the buzzsaw. The room lighted up momentarily from the lights inside my head, and I staggered back against the wall. I waited for her to get her bearings again. There was no hope of me getting mine. Then I heard a big, hollow thud. The whole room shook, and the lights went on. Poppy O'Farrell and/or Paget lay on the floor under the stony weight of Korolenko plus 60 pounds of plaster.
Get up! Get up! You're crushing me!
I can't. I'm so heavy.
You comfortable there, Korolenko?
Comfortable in such situation? Do you ask the turtle, are he comfortable? Is Faker on bed of nails? He's equally here as elsewhere.
Yeah, okay. Just hold her there until I get a statement. And he did. Item, statement by the aforesaid.
It was like waking out of a nightmare you can't remember. Everything seemed out of proportion.
That was her story, and I had to admire the way she stuck to it. But if you keep trying, I'm sure she'll get back enough of her memory to confess that she planted the wheel of life in Korolenko's turtle shell when she decided to double-cross Shuggy and Lathrop. They never tumbled to her hiding place. They were gunning for Korolenko because they thought Poppy was working with him, which was true in a way, but not the way that they thought. That's why they tortured the doctor in an effort to learn Kay's whereabouts. I understand your boys have picked up the rest of the trio, and they can tell you everything except why I conceived the brilliant idea of having Korolenko play dead. Between you and me, amnesia's a handy little gadget to have around, Dundee. I'm trying to draw a few strategic blanks myself. Period. End of report.
Pardon me, Mr. Spade.
Yes.
There are just a few little coincidentals that I do not find entirely reprehensible.
Such as?
Well, I don't want to appear lucid or anything of that type.
Believe me, you doesn't. I mean, don't it?
Oh, you say the sweetest things. But it's about the wheel.
Oh, yes, the wheel. Well, I'll tell you what you do. You type that up. I've got to call in about that now.
Tonight, when you're making out your must-do list for tomorrow, why not include a reminder to get Wild Root Cream Oil for the hair? Honestly, men, you'll be delighted with the neat, natural way Wild Root Cream Oil grooms your hair. The way it relieves that annoying dryness and removes loose, ugly dandruff. Just try it and see if I'm not giving you a good steer. Make a note right now to call at your drug or toilet goods counter for Wild Root Cream Oil. Get the big economy bottle and the handy new tube that's easy to pack when you travel. Also, ask your barber for a professional application of Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first.
Did you ascertain the lowdown on the Wheel of Life?
I certainly didn't. No, we won't know about that for 6 months. Because definitively, I mean definitely, that plaster cast has to stay on him. Doctor's orders, you know.
Oh, but I won't be here 6 months from now.
You can say that again.
But I won't be here 6 months from now.
Stop repeating yourself.
But you just said you can say that again.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Just as distinctly as if I was sitting here.
Uh-huh, that's what I like about you, Bernadine. A woman of distinction, that's what you are.
Well, if you want to take me dancing, why don't you just say so?
Bernadine.
It's leap year, and I always say discrimination is the better part of value.
You are absolutely corrupt.
Well, I'm glad I'm right about something. Good night, Mr. Spade.
Good night. Now say if it kills me, sweetheart.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Dashiell Hammett's famous private detective, are produced and directed by William Spear. Sam Spade is played by Howard Duff. The Adventures of Sam Spade are written for radio by Bob Tallman and Gil Dowd, with musical direction by Lud Gluskin. Gil Dowd directed tonight's broadcast in William Spear's absence. Join us again next Sunday for another adventure with Sam Spade, brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil. Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first. This is Dick Joy reminding you to
get Wild Root Cream Oil, Charlie. It keeps your hair in trim. You see, it's non-alcoholic, Charlie. It's made with soothing lanolin. You better get Wild Root Cream Oil, Charlie. Start using it today. You'll find that you will have a tough time, Charlie, keeping all the gals away. Hiya, Baldy. Get Wild Root right away.
Thanks for listening to HOJO Radio. We have more classic radio coming your way next.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective, brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic, the non-alcoholic hair tonic that contains lanolin. Wild Root Cream Oil, again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first.
Sam Spade Detective Agency.
Bernadine, anything wrong? You sound almost human.
It's not Bernadine, Sam. It's me, Effie.
F!
But I'll tell Bernadine about your compliment. How are things?
Well, I've made out as best I could. I don't want you to think that I begrudged you a vacation. After all, you have worked hard. You did deserve it.
Sam Spade, is that all you have to say to me?
I'm not putting the blame on you. After all, it is a state law, so I can hardly accuse you of letting me down at a time when I needed you most.
Well, you might at least ask me if I had a good time.
I'm sorry if your conscience bothered you.
Oh, well, it didn't. I had a divine time, and I met all sorts of interesting people. Mostly men.
You don't say. What else?
Well, it was this desert ranch, you know, with a lot of buttes around.
You mentioned those.
No, Sam, no. They're the result of erosion.
Those outdoor types, they go to pieces.
Sam, are you pulling my leg?
Not over the phone, Effie, but stay where you are. I'll be right down to look at your snapshots. And when you have the time, I'll dictate my report on the missing news hawk caper.
Dashiell Hammett, America's leading detective fiction writer and creator of Sam Spade, the hard-boiled private eye, and William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, join their talents to make your hair stand on end with the adventures of Sam Spade. Presented by the makers of Wild Root Cream Oil for the hair. Wild Root Cream Oil. That's the famous name to remember, men, next time you buy hair tonic. And look what Wild Root Cream Oil does for you. It grooms your hair neatly and naturally. Wild Root Cream Oil also relieves dryness and removes loose, ugly dandruff. Yes, men, Wild Root Cream Oil is your shortcut to really handsome hair. So be smart. First chance you get Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first. And now, with Howard Duff starring as Spade, Wild Root brings to the air the greatest private detective of them all in the adventures of Sam Spade.
Outside of Kanab on Virgin River.
Kanab, the Pearl of the West.
Uh-huh. And did I mention the buttes? Oh, well, they're very interesting.
The result of erosion.
Yes. And it's authentic, too. Fay Hamlin's ranch.
You, mean a working ranch?
Yes, you see, that way you get into the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
My job was to feed the chickens. And that's how I met him.
One of the buttes?
Oh, Sam, he's a very cultured gentleman.
Culture smulcher. What's he do for a living?
He cures stammering.
You don't say. What's his name?
Charlie Shank.
Charlie Shank?
He's the founder of the Shank Institute of Articulative Correction, which I should learn.
Articulative Correction. Where is this institute?
Oh, I have the address here. General Delivery, Butte, Montana.
Mm-hmm. You're sure you didn't help him break parole, Effie?
Oh, no. We just went on long walks together.
Where to?
Oh, different points of interest. Like Wolf Canyon.
Figures.
Uh-huh. He invited me on this camping trip. Honorable, of course. But I couldn't go on account of my sunburn. I had an awful... I've still got it, you see. And then he went back to Butte. He had to leave in such a hurry he couldn't even say goodbye.
Well.
It was a pity, too, because an old friend he hadn't seen in years came looking for him just a few minutes later.
With a warrant?
No, he was an attendant in a nearby hospital.
Mental?
Oh, yes, very intelligent. He read me some of his poetry. Maybe you've heard it. A loaf of bread... a jug of wine, and thou.
Wait a minute. Isn't that the Rubaiyat of Omer Khayyam? That was written by a guy named Fitzgerald.
Well, of course. That's his pen name.
Quite a penman.
Yes, but he's paid his debt to society. And the other time it was a bad beef.
Oh,
He told me all about it.
Sure.
He cried on my shoulder afterwards.
Sweetheart, when you make a mistake, it's a beaut.
Sam, nothing happened.
Well, I'm glad he cured you of stammering, anyhow. Ready?
Oh, yeah. I've got a brand
Work,
new
you
notebook.
know. Life goes on.
I've got a brand new notebook, Sam. I'll just turn over a new leaf.
Not a bad idea, dear. Date July 18 to Mr. Alex M. Youngblood. Try that again. Mr. Alex M. Youngblood, P.O., Box 317, San Francisco, from Samuel Spade, license number 137-596. Dear Mr. Youngblood, I need a vacation myself.
You need Charlie Shank. You sound tired, Sam.
Fortunately, until I met you, my only experience with any of the men and women who make your newspaper run had been with one of your corner newsboys who shortchanged me 2 times within as many days. I have not read your rag since. But your name looked imposing, and so did the $300 check upon which you had written it. Per your instructions, promptly at 4 p.m. on the 15th inst., I munched through the litter of your city room toward a door marked A.M. Youngblood, publisher, managing editor, and city editor. I wondered if you were ambitious, frugal, or 3 men. I did not know that you had good taste until I saw the trim, 20-ish, and toothsome secretary in your outer office.
Hello. You're new here, aren't you?
Well, I'm not exactly here. I'm just here to see Mr. Youngblood.
Oh.
The name is Spade.
Samuel Spade?
Sam, except to my most intimate friends.
Well, my advice to you, Sam, is to beat a hasty retreat. He's in a foul mood.
Oh? Why? Is he blind or older than he feels? I refer, of course, to your spectacular charm, Miss, if I may call you Miss.
Please, this is neither the time nor the place. My name is Phyllis Watson, and my phone number is in the directory, if you're really interested.
I could be.
Thank you. And if a man answers, tell him you're my French teacher.
Oui.
You better go in now. If you're late to an appointment with him, you're through.
Do you have any more words of wisdom?
No, but I hope you can do something to improve his state of mind. He's been awful lately. Good luck, Sam.
Thank you, Phyllis Watson.
Come in. There. 1 minute past 4. You must be Mr. Spade.
That's right.
You're almost late. Sit down, Spade. Cigar?
No, thanks.
Well, don't expect me to offer a drink. You aren't a drinker, I hope.
You don't listen to the radio, do you?
Well, you'll not drink in this office. Nothing here but a cooler filled with water from a clean, gurgling, laughing mountain stream.
You sound like a reformed drunk, Mr. Youngblood.
What's that? Well, it was a good many years ago. If you don't mind, I'll just paste up the weather report for my morning edition before we talk.
Oh, you do that too, huh?
Yes, obviously. And with good reasons. I remind myself that I was once a copy boy, and I find it a splendid way to, at least once each day, to lower myself to the level of the working man. There we are. Very hot in Phoenix, I see.
Mm-hmm. Just what do you want a detective for, Mr. Youngblood?
I was coming to that, Mr. Spade.
Sorry.
Now, well, first let me warn you that your assignment is a highly confidential one.
They all are.
In this case, a man's life may be at stake.
Mm-hmm.
The situation, my newspaper, at my order and under my guidance, has launched a campaign against crime. Not aimed at the petty criminal, but at the easy-living leeches at the controls of the rackets, the hoods in bankers' clothing, the mansion-house parasites who direct the pickpockets, the second-story men, the housebreakers, who gamble away $500,000 a year and pay income tax.
Don't go to pieces.
Of that amount.
Yes, I understand. You're after the boys on the safer side of the fences.
Nicely put, Spade, yes.
Thank you.
Well, the long and short of it is this. The author of the expose series, Ray McCulley, my top crime reporter, has been missing for 2 days. I want you to find him.
What makes you think he's still alive?
Good heavens, Spade, why must you suggest that he isn't?
Because if I were a mansion-housed parasite in danger of being unhoused by a newshawk, I'd see said newshawk standing in a cement block on the bottom of the bay.
I will accept that only when no stone has been left unturned. Every straw and every haystack has been searched. Every...
nook and cranny?
Yes.
Sounds as though you need at least one police force, Mr. Youngblood. Now, why don't you just...
No. Impossible. We've already had a brush with the police over the expose. I'll not be dictated to at this stage of the game. I started this investigation, and I'll finish it alone.
Well, it's a pretty big order, Mr. Youngblood, but times are tough. I'll see what I can do.
Good. I hereby turn over to you all the resources and power of this, my newspaper. When one of my reporters is in trouble or danger, sir, I will spend every penny of my fortune, if necessary, to deliver aid and succor to his side.
You then gave me Ray McCulley's expose stories to date. I saw why you, his family and friends, and his creditors could have been worried about him. They were hot. One followed a stolen car from the time of the heist through the alteration of the body color, tire brands, license number, motor serial number to the time it was shoved onto a used car lot. They named names all the way through. And another did the same to the firm of Otter, Badger, and Mole, furriers, and alleged manufacturers of coats from clouted pelts. Ray McCulley had dropped out of sight right after that story had been published. So I left your office hoping that I'd reach the address of Otter, Badger, and Mole before closing time. I did. The plushy showroom was occupied by a dozen attractive fur-bearing models, female, but wax. The live models, male, were wearing padded shoulders, pointed shoes, and coats tailored for underarm artillery. They would have looked more natural at Madame Tussaud's waxworks, Bertram the burglar section.
Hey, what'll it be? Something for the little woman?
Where do I find Mr. Otter?
Are you the law?
Leo sent me.
He's in his office. Come on.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't crowd me.
You say you want to see the boss?
On business. Stop nudging me with a rod.
In there, hey, move.
Okay.
Hey, boss.
Yes, Woody?
Here's Joe here to see you. Leo sent him.
Well, nudge him in, Woody.
No nudging, Woody.
Well. So Leo's sending a man to see me. I wonder why.
If you'll comb this character here out of my hair, I'll try and tell you.
Sit down, Woody.
Thanks.
You're new in town.
Yeah, that's why Leo sent me. A local muckraker named Ray McCulley interviewed you. He also interviewed Leo, but it didn't get printed yet. Leo wants to find him.
So do I. How can I help?
Well, he walked out of here, went to his hotel, wrote the story, and mailed it in. That's the last anybody's seen of him. Leo was just sort of hoping that you'd already taken care of him.
Not yet.
That's all I wanted to know. Thanks.
Just a moment.
Yeah?
Leo's sending you out alone?
Why not?
That's a tough boy, that McCulley. He's got plenty of protection. That's what you need.
What kind of protection?
Go along with him, Woody.
Who, me?
You're Woody, aren't you?
Now, look, Mr. Otter, I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but the way I see it, this is a lone wolf type caper.
Hey, what's the matter, hey? You think I'm too good for you?
Well, Woody, I wouldn't say that.
Good. It's settled then. Take care of him, Woody, and don't mix it up with any of Leo's boys. If he's out to get that rat McCulley, he's our friend.
I was beginning to wonder who Leo was. I'd grabbed the name off a calendar on the wall, Leo's Van and Storage. I didn't know whether he was the Leo Mr. Otter didn't like, and I hoped I wouldn't find out. The best way I could think to keep from finding out was to shake Woody. On the way uptown, I walked him past 4 police stations. Crossing Market Street, I pushed him straight into the arms of a traffic cop who begged his pardon and let me off with a warning. At the Blue Bottle Bar and Grill, I gave Joe, the bartender, the Mickey Finn sign, but Woody liked it. He ordered another. Then he said he knew a place on Columbus where the drinks were even better. It was called Leo's Place. I wondered if that meant anything.
Hey, oh, hey.
Who, me, huh?
I want your drink. Don't you like this joint?
Yeah, sure, it's fine. We're not getting anywhere, though.
You really take your work serious. Me, when I go gun for somebody, I go where I'm least likely to succeed. You live longer.
Yeah. Woody, what do you know about this guy, McCully?
You hear the boss. He says he's a rat.
Yeah, but he said he's got plenty of protection. Who's furnishing it?
Well, you see, there's the... Boy, oh, boy. Look at what just walked in.
I looked. What I saw was not disappointing. She was wearing a skin-tight black satin with a plunging neckline and a new look only in places where it didn't matter. But she still looked enough like your secretary, Phyllis Watson, to be out of place in Leo's place. She didn't stay there long. She made a beeline through the kitchen to the rear exit. I made a beeline right after her. Woody was breathing down my neck as I started up the rickety outside stairway at the back of the building. I stopped the landing and turned around to face him. See you later, Woody. I didn't wait to see if he made it all the way to the bottom of the stairs. I was more interested in what was going on at the top. A door had opened, and Phyllis stepped inside. The man who let her in looked like Ray McCully.
Who are you?
The name is Spade.
I don't know that name.
Your boss hired me to find you.
Private Dick?
Yeah. Can I talk to you for a minute?
Sure. Put your hands behind your neck and walk up slow.
Okay.
All right. Go inside.
What's the matter? You're not acting glad to see me.
This the guy, Phyllis?
Yes. Alex hired him this afternoon.
There, you see. Now, what do you want me to tell Youngblood?
You're not going to tell anybody anything. Oh!
It caught me right behind the ear. The last thing I saw was that plunging neckline as Phyllis rushed forward. I didn't know whether she was rushing to my rescue or to get in a few licks of her own. 5 seconds later, I didn't care. As the design on the linoleum slammed up at me, I had just time to wonder why, of all the people who were looking for Ray McCully, I had to find him. Then I was out. Boinged. Maced for my pains.
The makers of Wild Root Cream Oil are presenting the weekly Sunday adventure of Dashiell Hammett's famous private detective, Sam Spade. If you want the well-groomed look that helps you get ahead, socially and on the job, listen. Recently, thousands of people from coast to coast who bought Wild Root Cream Oil for the first time were asked, how does Wild Root Cream Oil compare with the hair tonic you previously used? Better than 4 out of 5 who replied said they preferred Wild Root Cream Oil. And no wonder. Wild Root Cream Oil grooms the hair neatly and naturally, relieves annoying dryness, and removes loose dandruff. What's more, non-alcoholic Wild Root Cream Oil is the only leading hair tonic that contains soothing lanolin. So ask for Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first. By the way, smart girls use Wild Root Cream Oil, too, and mothers say it's grand for training children's hair. And now, back to the missing news hawk caper. Tonight's adventure with Sam Spade.
I was lying on the floor in a room with nothing in it but a sink, an army cot, a square of dirty linoleum, and a body. I staggered to my feet, ran some cold water over my head, and took a closer look. It was Ray McCully. He was a very dead crusading reporter. He'd been stabbed clean through with a long-bladed kitchen knife. It said on the handle, property of Leo's place. I went through his pockets. In his wallet, a press card, a police card, union card, and 10 genuine, crisp, new $1,000 bills. That gave me a line on the killer. He was crazy. So was I. I left it on him, too. Folded up in his vest pocket, I found 2 newspaper clippings, one from the Chronicle and one from your paper. Both weather reports for the same date. It was very hot in Phoenix, according to both papers. But according to your weather report, the temperature in Needles, California was 135 degrees. That needled me. So did the slip of paper I found on his shoe. The number 9 and a date had been stamped on it with a rubber stamp. The date was the same as that of the weather reports. I turned it over. It said Ruthie's Booth, Manson Bowling Alley.
Don't tell me, let me guess. You're the cigar type, Coronas or Panatellas?
Thanks, I'm just shopping.
I got a nice line of notions.
So have I.
No, I mean the dolls, the Hollywood dolls. You know, for the bed. Only $1 plus tax.
Very reasonable.
Say, what's on your mind?
Leo sent me.
Oh. Are you going to collect the slips hereafter?
Well, not tonight. You see, I'm sort of a troubleshooter. Leo's checking up on some of the numbers that didn't come out right.
Listen, I'll tell him to his face I don't want any part of those wrong numbers. They're scary.
Nuts. Who bought this one?
Let me see. Oh, last Thursday. Oh, number 9. How can I forget? He put $500. And honest, if he's been around once, he's been around 100 times to see if it paid off. Did it?
What's his name?
Mr. Spinelli. He buys a slip every day. And if you ask me, he's learned his system. Because he's been winning, you know. Dimes and then $1 and then $5. And then when he come in with 500 on number 9 until he dropped dead, did it win?
Where does he live?
It did. Wait, I'll look on the sheet. Hey, somebody else was in just this afternoon.
Give me that address. Hurry up, will you?
Well, it's right around the corner on Manson, 810. Say, maybe that's his system, 8 and 1. Don't that add up to 9? Hey, what's the matter? Where are you going in such a rush?
Please, come back later. Tomorrow. Next week.
Are you Mrs. Spinelli?
Yes, please. I had so much trouble.
Is your husband home?
Oh, my poor man. They take him away. He's dead.
Oh, I'm sorry. How did it happen?
Who are you?
I'm a detective. Maybe I can help you. May I come in?
All right. Come on.
It took quite a while to gain her confidence, and after that, it took still quite a while to piece together the grief-stricken grumble of words that poured out of her. When I got it down in the form of a statement, I asked her to read it over. Item, statement by Mrs. Arturo Spinelli.
All the time he played those numbers. I told him they're just a bunch of gangsters. They don't let you win. Then he met this man McCulley, a writer for the newspaper. My husband says this man shows him how to win. He wins and wins. Then he goes to bank and takes out all our savings. I begged him not to do it. But no, he was greedy. And this McCulley poisoned his mind. Sure, he won. He brought the money home in his hand. $10,000. I don't want it. I'm scared. I took it while he was sleeping with wine and gave it to the men. I tell him all I want is the 500. He tried to tell me we do good. We help catch the big gangsters. I say we don't want to do so good we get murdered in our beds. So he says, okay. But if I change mine, here is address. I don't change my mind. Because already my husband, he is dead. At home. Stabbed. No, I don't change my mind.
She signed it, and I left her alone with her grief. I wasn't working for you anymore, Mr. Youngblood. You hired me to find you a reporter, and I had. And I wished I hadn't. The rest of it I did for myself. You weren't in your office when I got there, but Phyllis was. I found her behind the city desk in the act of dropping tomorrow morning's weather report into the slot. I grabbed it out of her hand.
What?
Oh, it's you.
Where's your boss?
At home, I guess.
We'll talk in his office. Come on.
Sam, I can explain how I
You're
happened
going
to
to
be...
explain plenty before I'm finished with you. Sit down.
Oh, you... I don't have to be so rough. What's the matter with you?
Plenty. I'm stupid. I was stupid to take this job, and I was stupid to play it cagey with you. I should have beaten the story out of you before the trouble started. It's a little late in the day now, but not too late to send you up for McCully's murder.
Oh, you're insane. Ray McCully was... I'm the only one who ever tried to help
And
him.
I'm the only one who can place you in that room, not 10 minutes before the murder.
I told you I can explain
Stop
why...
trying to save your own skin. Spinelli was only one of 500,000 poor dumb yucks that lose their nickels and dimes and dollars every day in the policy racket. Only he had the bad luck to win. There won't be any more lucky dead people like him if I have to make a patsy out of you to stop it.
It won't stop it. Nothing will. Ray talked big and brave like you. Now he's dead.
Yeah, with $10,000 dirty money in his wallet.
I won't let you say things like that. Ray was an honest reporter, too honest. He thought Youngblood meant what he said about that cleanup campaign.
Yeah, he did. He wanted to run this town by himself, clean up his competition.
When Ray started collecting material on the numbers racket, he still thought Youngblood was on the level. But that was before he stumbled onto the thing about the weather reports.
Yeah, that was a new one. The old Dutch Schultz mob used to add up the stock market quotations. If they cheated, they knew their customers weren't good enough at arithmetic to prove it. But who knows how hot it is in Phoenix unless they live there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Listen, that's how the number game works, sweetheart. The suckers pick a number from 1 to 10, see? The operators tally up the slips, and the least popular for that day has to win. The weather report doesn't have to pass through the copy desk, and with Youngblood pasting it up with a few strategic corrections, it was easy to make their winners look as if they were on the level.
Oh.
But of course, you had no way of knowing that. You only watched them do it day after day.
You know, I couldn't understand why he did those things. It seemed silly falsifying a weather report, but it didn't seem as if it could do any harm.
What did you meet McCully for? To get your cut of the 10 grand Spinelli was killed for?
How dare you? I went there to warn him about you.
Who killed him?
I don't know.
You're lying.
All right, I'm lying. But I can prove that Ray was on the level. I've got the proof right here. The whole story he wrote on the numbers racket, even naming Youngblood as the head of it, his own publisher. I went there to get it. I was going to take it to another newspaper.
Why didn't you?
I can't tell you that.
You don't have to. Mrs. Spinelli was confused, grief-crazed. She had to put the blame on somebody, and when she did, she got her revenge the only way she thought she could. She may have been right about that, but she killed the wrong man.
Why didn't you tell me you knew who killed Ray?
I wanted to give you a chance to tell me yourself. I'm glad you didn't. And that, Mr. Youngblood, is the crop. I'm sure you appreciate the fact that I gave the double scoop to your paper. Like Mrs. Spinelli, I have my own ideas of vengeance. Besides, it may up your circulation a little, and you can certainly use a little extra money for your defense. By the way, who's Leo? Period, end of report.
But, Sam.
Yes, Evie.
I thought Mrs. Spinelli killed Ray McCully.
The vacation helped. You're absolutely correct. Mrs. Spinelli killed Mr. McCully, if you'll pardon the expression.
Well, why did she kill her husband?
I was wrong. The vacation didn't help.
You mean she didn't?
She killed McCully to avenge the murder of her husband.
You mean Mr. McCully killed Mr. Spinelli?
Effie, stop. I'll go mad.
Oh, you need a vacation, Sam.
Look, type that up. The clatter of the keys may stimulate you to further cerebral activity.
I beg your pardon, Sam?
Brain work. Now, shoot.
Oh, brain work. Oh, well, you know best.
Tonight, men, or first thing tomorrow, get Wild Root Cream Oil and see what wonders it does for your hair. Notice how easy it is to apply. Notice what a neat, natural job it does of grooming your hair. Notice, too, how effectively Wild Root Cream Oil relieves annoying dryness and removes loose, ugly dandruff. No getting around it. Once you try it, you'll never be without it. So tonight, or first thing tomorrow, call at your drug or toilet goods counter for Wild Root Cream Oil. Get the big economy bottle and the handy new tube that's easy to pack when you travel. Also, ask your barber for a professional application of Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first.
Well, here it is, Sam. And you were absolutely right. The typing cleared my mind. It's all clear now except for one thing.
Well, let's clear that up right away.
Why did Mrs. Spinelli kill her husband?
She did not kill her husband.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant, why did Mr. McCully kill Mr. Spinelli?
Kelly did not kill Spinelli.
Who's Kelly?
McCully.
McCully's real name was Kelly?
Now, let's start all over again. Disregard everything we said up until now. Make your mind a complete blank.
All right, Sam.
In the first place, McCully did not kill Spinelli.
That's what I said. It was his wife, wasn't it? Now, wasn't it, Sam? Oh, stop teasing me. Sam, why do you look at me like that?
Effie, Mr. Spinelli was killed by one of the policy racket hoods to get back the 10 grand he won on the numbers game.
Then how did the money get into Kelly's pocket?
McCulley's.
Why do you insist on using his alias, Sam?
Effie, that was a tip of the tongue. I mean, look, Mrs. Spinelli took it to him because she was afraid her husband might be killed for
Then
it.
why didn't they take the money when they killed him?
Because Mrs. Spinelli had already taken it.
Then she did kill him.
Go home, Effie!
All right, Sam. I'm sorry I'm so irritable to you, but I thought it's... Well, it's been so long since I've been here, you know, Sam.
Angel, you're just tired. Vacations have a habit of doing that to you. After a week or two in the office, you'll be all rested up again. Now, take it easy.
You act as though you thought my mind were affected.
Come here.
Sam, now don't, my sunburn. Oh, it hurts.
It's nice to have you back. You look good, too. All tanned and healthy. It's great.
I think my nose is peeling.
Well, don't pick at it.
I won't. Good night, Sam.
Good night, sweetheart.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Dashiell Hammett's famous private detective, are produced and directed by William Spear. Sam Spade is played by Howard Duff. Lorene Tuttle is Effie. The Adventures of Sam Spade are written for radio by Bob Tallman and Gil Dowd, with musical direction by Lud Gluskin. Gil Dowd directed tonight's broadcast in William Spear's absence. Join us again next Sunday for another adventure with Sam Spade, brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil. Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first. This is Dick Joy reminding you to...
Get Wild Root Cream Oil, Charlie. It keeps your hair in trim. You see, it's non-alcoholic, Charlie. It's made with soothing lanolin. You better get Wild Root Cream Oil, Charlie. Start using it today. You'll find that you will have a tough time, Charlie, keeping all the gals away.
Hiya, Baldy.
Get Wild Root right away.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Thank you for listening to HOJO Radio. We'll be back again very soon.